What's up, level uppers? Welcome to King Kurt 757 presents the Level Up Show, episode 296. This is a gaming dedicated talk show on every other Sunday-ish at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Oh, we're starting fast tonight, guys. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andrew. I make this show, Midori. 2 whole years. It says 28 months for me, Jersey Tom. Over 2 years. 2 years and 4 months. I actually did it. King Kurt 757 presents the Level Up Show, episode 296. Unfortunately, as you can see, no co-host tonight, necessarily. Vince had a very busy weekend, very rough weekend, so he's not going to be joining us tonight. At least I don't think so. He was implying that he might try and rush to be here late, but I told him not to. So what I figured we'll try and do tonight is a little bit of a Discord night. And this is really all dependent on you guys. I'm going to allow you to join the show at any point. You can check out our outline, our agenda for tonight, and you can get into the queue on the Twitch chat and on Discord itself. Just type in !Q in the chat to add yourself to that and get a link to the voice channel. And I will bring on people as we go through TLUS Has No Game, as we go through our big topic of the week, which is Xbox Game Showcase. And eventually when we get into the level update and the rapid fire news roundup, because we have a pretty stacked show tonight, actually. It's going to be a good show tonight. So if anybody is interested at all in joining, type in !Q in chat. That's all you got to do. I'm also going to share the agenda link with you guys in chat right now. There you go. If you guys want to see what's coming up, maybe determine when you want to join the show or when you have the best chance of joining the show for topics that you're interested in. That is not how you spell Q. Q, the way you spell Q is Queue. It's kind of a weird spelled word. Kristen used to say quay. That was her way of saying Q. So now is your chance. Type in !Queue in the chat if you want to get that link and get added onto the list. This is my first time trying out this way of doing it, where you guys actually use the command in chat. I've never done it like this, but considering I'm the only one on the show tonight, I need to try to manage this as best as possible, you know? Trish the Dish, how you doing? Welcome, everybody. We got Jersey Tom, we got Trish the Dish. We have Farsendor in here, King Kurt, of course, who presents the show tonight. We have Glowing Pear is here, Chubrock, Daredevil, Ultimate X Hunter. Who else? Evil Resonance actually came in first tonight, but he didn't quite understand the way it works. So as Farsender explained, if you want to try and get that XP at the start of the show, just wait for the bot to post a link in the chat or wait until Discord shares the link in the general channel. And that really is the sign that the bot has become active and that you can get that !First XP. Q is just Q followed by 4 silent letters. You're actually correct. I've never really thought about it, but you're right. Brett is here. Okume Tenji is here. Enya Pliant is here. We have a stacked show tonight, guys. So right off the bat, I see that Jersey Tom has entered the queue. And let me see if this worked on Discord as well. He did. He jumped in on the queue on Discord. So I'm going to try and give this a shot myself right now to see if it all works. There we go. And let's bring Jersey Tom on here. Tom, can you hear me okay right now? Thomas.
Drew.
Yes.
Andrew, rather.
Thomas, how you doing, man?
Oh, man, it's good to hear your voice, man. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. That voice of yours. I forgot how burly it is.
The silky smooth.
Very silky smooth. It's perfect for a talk show, especially one where you are just a voice. Although, if you would like, yes, I can certainly add you as video tonight at some point. If you are planning on sticking around.
This PC does not currently have I don't have a webcam set up for my streaming setup just yet, so.
No worries at all. Guys, let me know in the chat how the voice volume is on the Discord end. Advertisement voice. That's right, Enya Pliant. Well, I'm glad you joined me so early in the night so that we can have a conversation, that we have, we can bounce off each other here. Tom, do you have the outline open by chance?
I do have the outline open.
Perfect.
From the previous thing that you sent.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Yeah, so we got TLEOS has no game, we got topic of the week, we got level update, we got it all tonight. We got a big show. But since I have you here so early, I'm gonna start by asking you, what have you been playing, man? Because Tom, if anybody doesn't know, Tom is a streamer. I believe you're going through The Last of Us, but correct me if I'm wrong on that. Give him a follow. He's in the chat. You guys saw him. Give him a follow on his channel now that you've heard his silky smooth voice. Tell me about The Last of Us, because I think that's what you're playing, right, Tom?
That is correct. I am currently playing The Last of Us. I have only gotten past,
didn't know what to do with the book about Tesla's
I guess I'm
love
still
of
in
electricity,
Seattle Day 3.
so he filed it under current
I'm not sure,
affairs.
because you've already gone through it, correct, Drew?
Mm-hmm. That is right. Yeah, I'm done. So, and I'm not going to talk about it in spoiler way because we are going to have a spoiler cast on it with Vince and Discord. I might turn that into another Discord type night where you guys can join as well to talk about The Last of Us. So no spoilers, but how far are you? How are you feeling about it so far?
Well, like I said, I am in day 3 of Seattle, which I'm not sure how far along that is. My first session was 8 hours, and then it's been like another 5 and 3. But this game seems like it just keeps going and going and going.
If you take your time with it, if you are thorough, as I like to call it,
I am very thorough.
Then you'll probably be like me, where it's going to take you 40+ hours to beat it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I figured, because I'm one of those guys who uses all of my knowledge of video games to check every corner, every crevice. Every time it tells me to go one direction, I go the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that looks like progression, don't go that way.
You're exactly like me. You are exactly like me then. And it's funny, and this is how you're streaming it too. Like, I was concerned when I was playing the game that way that it would turn people off the stream, but it seemed like people actually enjoyed the slow, methodical method.
Right.
My way of going through.
It's nice too when you're able to interact with your audience at that point, because there's enough downtime there where you're able to talk with them and ask them like what they're thinking, how, get people's active opinions of the game as you are playing it.
Right. Yeah, without a doubt. And it's one of those games where the discussion on it is one of the most important parts, and that's why I'm so excited for the spoiler cast. This is a game, and I don't want to go too into detail because I want to save it for the spoiler cast, but this is a game that since I beat it on stream, I have not gone a day without thinking about it. It's like, it's lodged in there right now, and even more so than like 7 Remake, which is also pretty lodged in there right now, even like a month later. But The Last of Us has like dominated my mind for over a week now, and I just can't kick it. I keep like rewatching my playthrough of the ending and like my reaction to it, and it's I don't want to spoil anything for you. I don't even want to give you what my feelings were on the ending, but it's just, all I can say is that it was just so impactful to me.
Well, look, the joke title for the stream that I have is Feel Bad Inc. And it's a rough game. I'm expecting that that's going to continue, because look, the first game was a very rough experience. But, I'm kind of looking forward to that in some way. And, the one thing I prefaced this with was that a sequel to The Last of Us was not a game that I wanted to play, or even necessarily want to exist. I didn't think it does. I thought the game was over and that was it. There shouldn't have been more. I am willing to be wrong. I am very open to being wrong about that. So I'm hoping
I was indifferent to that. I'm done with it. I was like, I trust Naughty Dog, so whatever they want to do, I'm there for it. But now that I've played and beaten it, and I've been able to digest it, I actually think I prefer it to the first game.
Right.
So clearly I'm okay with them doing it. I will say, and this is not a spoiler, because it could go any direction, really. I don't want a part 3. Whether it be with existing characters or new characters or anything, I don't want a part 3.
I certainly hope that they don't.
That's my feeling on it right now. Is I am done.
There's too much escalation that you have to do at that point, and then it starts becoming. I mean, people made the joke already that this game is going to be murder porn, and I don't need more of that. Like I'm getting enough of it as it is. Like, I don't think I need to see any more after this game is done.
Yep. I totally get it, man. I totally get it. I get people were asking if I was going to go through and get
the alarm go off or something.
Oh, sorry, what?
I just had an alarm go off or something. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, sure, no problem. What I was going to say to the chat and to Tom is that you guys were saying that I should go through it again and get that platinum, but it's just, it didn't feel right to me. It's one of those games where I don't think I might ever play it again. The only way I for sure would play it again is if there is a part 3 and somehow it does tie to part 1 and part 2 in some way. Then I would maybe go back through part 2 to get those feels again before moving on. But I really hope that this is it. The question though is like, it's selling so well, it's doing so well critically, commercially. It's something that's probably going to be pushed for on Sony's end, but I don't think that they would ever force Naughty Dog to make another game. That doesn't feel like Sony's attitude towards its first party studios. They, for the most part, have free reign to try out what they want to try out. Sucker Punch, for example, we're going to talk about tonight, and sort of their free reign and what they tried out later on in the level update. But Tom, I feel like I heard you come back. What I was saying was, I feel like Sony would not force Naughty Dog to make another one if they don't want to, even though this game has sold so well, even though it has reviewed so well, even though it probably will sweep a lot of the Game Awards. I don't think they would be forced to make another one.
I will say that Naughty Dog has enough pedigree, I think, and there's enough creativity within that studio that they can come up with another game that's going to pretty much follow in the same kind of gameplay moment to moment that you will get, with some subtle variations. Like between Uncharted and The Last of Us, those two games play very, very differently. I would assume that they can probably make another game that's going to still kind of ratchet things up by,
how do you do that though? Like, I don't want to talk about it necessarily, but that's my question, and maybe we'll talk about this on the spoiler case. But how do you one up this game? And I know you haven't finished it yet, but from a cinematic standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, and from a gameplay perspective, it's such a level up, in my opinion, over the first game. Like, how do they take that even further? I have no idea how they could do that, and that would be something that would be interesting to speculate on in the coming weeks when we get to that.
Just off the top of my head, and completely unrelated to the game, to Last of Us itself, only way I see you ratchet it up now is you just go like hard sci-fi, and you just like put it out in space and have a bunch of set pieces that way. That's
you mean it as like a new IP? Yeah, I agree with that. If they're going a new IP, then sci-fi is the way to go. I mean, you're far enough into the game to know now the trading cards and the collectibles. They're amazing, in my opinion. Like one of my favorite collectibles ever in a video game.
Oh, they're fantastic, yeah.
And it just shows so much creativity on Naughty Dog's end and so much passion for that genre, in my opinion, like superhero comic book genre, that they must be kind of craving that internally. And I feel like need to do it.
It's between that and the thing from the first game, the what was it, Savage Starlight, I think was the name of the comic book.
Exactly.
So so that's clearly something that they can definitely go for.
I hope so. That's what I want. If they're going to do anything, I want them to go cinematic, not full on linear, but like open linear, is similar wide linear to what they did with The Last of Us Part 2. I want that in sci-fi. I think they could do amazing things. Not like open universe where you're traveling planet to planet, but if it's like, you're guided maybe to planets, and then once you get down on them, it's very open, but still there is a clear story structure and linear path that you can take. I think that they could find that perfect middle ground, because I don't think Naughty Dog should ever go full open world. It's just it's just not the right thing for them. They are
their
so
bread and
good.
butter is set pieces, which you can't really get in an open world.
No. Not in the way they do it. No, I don't think so. It would be incredibly ambitious. And Last of Us Part 2 was already so ambitious. We'll talk about that later on. I was surprised to find out this week how many people worked on that game. We'll talk about that later on in the Rapid Fire News Roundup, because, as I said, we got a stack show tonight, so I don't feel like we should waste any more time. Let's get into the official non-gaming portion of the show. It's called The Level Up Show. Has no game. We're going to do 3 non-gaming topics at 3 minutes each. Are we ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Let's do it. First up, it has no game. We got a lot of COVID-related delays. We're going to start off with a big one that was being pushed recently as coming to theaters. Chris Nolan, for better and for worse, a lot of people think it's for worse, was really gunning to get Tenet into theaters soon. And I think a lot of us are like, dude, just let it go. Like, this is not your year. I get it. You're disappointed, but you need to move on. And it seems like he has, because they've indefinitely delayed Tenet in America. There's rumors, though, that it still might release in other countries. That would be a bummer, in my opinion, because this is a movie that I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be talking about in an Inception type of way. I'm going to be so scared about spoilers if this movie comes out in other countries. Are you excited for Tenet, Joe?
I'm excited to see Tenet and to see where it's going to go. You know, I 100% agree with you. If they decide to release this internationally, you are just asking for piracy. You are just screaming, "Please pirate this movie."
Yeah.
Like it would be probably the single most ridiculous idea that they would have in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's ridiculous to begin with that that Nolan is so adamant on releasing this in theaters. I understand that he's very big into IMAX and a lot of the technology that comes with
the theater experience is very important.
Right.
Yep.
And I completely understand that. But in some respects, if the movie is done, if it is complete, and you're just holding on to it just because you only want to show it in a certain way, in a certain format, come on. There's enough Netflix movies at this point that we've seen come out that have been fantastic, that have not been, I don't think, diminished by the fact that you're watching it at home at your home theater.
Mm-hmm. No, I think there are certain movies that are clearly better for the theater experience. I do think Tenet's going to be one that is going to be amazing in theaters, and I would like to see it that way. I'm okay waiting for it, without a doubt. Right now, I don't care how good that movie is. I will not be going to a theater right now. No way in hell am I doing that.
Oh, no,
that wasn't the only one. I mean, we've been hearing this all week, or all year long, I should say. But this week in particular, A Quiet Place 2 got delayed into 2021, Top Gun Maverick into 2021, and Disney rescheduled a whole bunch of stuff. Spider-Man Far From Home was already delayed from June or July of 2021 until late in the year. In November, it got pushed back another month now to December of 2021. And then Star Wars and Avatar both got pushed back. Those movies are going to alternate. So Avatar is going to start in December of 2022. And then it's going to do 2024, 2026, and 2028 because there are 4 Avatar movies coming. And then Star Wars, I didn't know about this. They are actually getting ready to start their new series, a new trilogy. I don't think we know yet. It's just going to be new Star Wars movies starting now in December of 2023. And then we'll get 2025 and 2027 and so on. So a lot to look forward to and a lot to wait on. But
do we know if the Star Wars movie is the Rian Johnson trilogy?
I don't think it is. No.
That's the only question that I have.
Yeah, I don't think so. Moving on from that, HBO Max is out there now, but we're still waiting for the big advertisement for HBO Max. That is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Release the Snyder Cut. We found out this week through JusticeCon that Zack Snyder will not use any of Joss Whedon's footage in his cut. And he was very aggressive about this. He talked candidly saying,
a nice way to put it,
quote, that he'd literally blow that fucking thing up before using any of Whedon's footage, stating too that the theatrical version of the film from 2017, which Whedon oversaw the extensive reshoots on, was separate from the DCEU timeline. Quote, there would be no chance on earth that I would use a shot from after I left that movie, he shared, and continued on to say, I would destroy the movie. I would set it on fire before I use a single frame that I did not photograph. That is a fucking hard fact. There's been a lot of stuff coming about Whedon, not just his version of Justice League, but about his abuse of the actors and actresses on set. So a lot going on right there, but let's focus on the Snyder Cut and what he's saying here. Personally, I mean, it's a Snyder Cut, so I never expected him to use a second of Whedon's footage. What about you, Tom?
I'm in the same boat. I can't imagine. Now, granted, I've only ever shot and directed a student film, but I could imagine, actually a couple of student films, I couldn't imagine using somebody else's footage that I didn't personally have my hands on in some shape or form. It wouldn't be my vision at that point. And as we've seen from what Whedon added in to the movie, it's very much not the way that Zack Snyder envisioned those characters to act or things that they would have done. See the Flash ending up on top of Wonder Woman and like all those other gags that he was throwing in there.
Right. Even like the color palette, which I don't necessarily think is a bad thing, because I do think Zack Snyder can go a little bit too gray and drab, and I also think he can go a little bit too edgy and serious, especially with a character like Superman, where Whedon's Superman, I'm actually a little worried that if he goes completely back to the Snyder version of Superman, it's not going to feel right to me. I'm really excited to see the Snyder Cut, as it's called. I mean, this movie is going to be over 3 hours long on HBO Max, but at the same time, I won't say that I'm optimistic about it. I still think it's probably going to be pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Let me put it up on the big screen here real quick too, because this is the only scene that was revealed at Justice Con. I think oh, it must have been at the beginning. I apologize. But you guys might have seen it. There is Superman in the black suit was revealed. So that's kind of exciting to finally see, you know, something that was teased for a while, but never actually in the 2017 version of Justice League. And finally, it has no game. Sonic the Hedgehog sequel movie has been announced, confirmed for April of 2022. It came courtesy of Ben Schwartz and this very funny Twitter video he put out there where he's passing by, I think, LAX and this huge banner, a wall of banners, I should say, that goes on, it seems like forever. And he's just like, I'm in that. But it's confirmed April 2022. I saw Sonic in theaters. I saw it with Kristen. I saw it with Evie. And we thought it was pretty entertaining. What about you, Tom? Did you see it?
I have not seen it yet. In some respects, I've already gotten pretty much a decent synopsis of the movie itself and what happens. You know, I wasn't worried about getting spoiled on. By the way, hi, Cheese Mom.
Can she be seen?
Just seems like you know, it's just. From everything that I've heard, it's not nearly as good as Pokemon, the Pikachu Detective, Detective Pikachu.
I thought they were kind of similar, in my opinion. I thought they were both entertaining, but not great. Not as good as I wanted them to be, I will say. I still feel like we're not there yet with like a great video game movie. I don't think we've hit that yet. I don't know when it's going to happen. I think The Last of Us is going to be like the first great adaptation of video games for television. I think Witcher, I heard, is pretty good, but I haven't gone far enough into
Witcher is very good.
I think The Last of Us is going to be like the big home run, finally, in adaptations. Hold on one sec. Kristen's in the room.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. Told you that.
But I will say, as far as video game adaptations, I wouldn't count The Witcher as that because it's very much not. It's very much not in the vein of the games. I think it follows more of the novels themselves. Right. So I think that's not quite of a fair way of saying that that's a video game adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's based on the books. You know, right. So you know, The Last of Us is a true video game adaptation. Now, when it comes to Sonic, I think the second one could be very strong after the first one. They're spoiler alert for Sonic. I really don't think people are going to care that much about spoilers for Sonic. But they do tease, please don't. They do tease Tails at the end of the movie.
That I do know.
Maybe post-credits.
I think it's a post-credits scene. Yeah, he shows up.
Yeah, so that alone, I think, could add a lot to the sequel.
And I feel very disappointing, Drew. I just got to tell you.
Jim Carrey coming like full on Robotnik by the end of it, like hamming it up all the way. Well, we're going to start with that Jim Carrey as Robotnik at the start. He's going to start that way in the sequel.
He's already the Riddler.
Right. He's going to ham it up. So I'm all in for that. But what did you guys say in the chat? I'm actually curious now. What was the votes there? It looks like I saw it on Blu-ray or on demand and enjoyed it with 2 votes. So yeah, I feel like most people can say that they at least enjoyed it, especially considering I think the expectations were so unbelievably low when they revealed it with that original design. I mean, it came a long way from that. So I think we all have to be pretty positive on it in the end. I mean, it actually beats Detective Pikachu in box office. Like, who would have ever thought that would happen?
That shocks me when I saw those numbers. Yeah,
I mean, come on, that's a huge turnaround for that. So that's pretty impressive. And that is TLUS has no game. I wish she posted it up here now. She chooses the Level Up show to come down and screw everything over. Of course. I did not water her plants today, guys. Oh no!
Did not, man.
I know you're still down here.
They can't die.
No, that wasn't succulents. We have a bunch of stuff outside. There's one plant in particular that like wilts pretty quickly if you don't water it.
Well, you got a zucchini
I was working down in the basement today doing other things for her, so you know, things happen. She's telling me to water them right now.
You know what else she did? Left the hammer right in the middle of the floor and I hurt my foot on it.
Welcome X1 Bros. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Razor's here. No press is bad press. I mean, that's kind of true, actually. I will agree with that. It put a spotlight on that movie, that terrible design at the beginning. And then, some people actually sort of theorize, and I don't know what's the word for it, where you, coming up with crazy theories on things. Conspiracy theory, that they intentionally started with a bad design so that they could correct it and get that goodwill on their side. Like, there's no way. That seems a little... That's too much. No. That's far-fetched. They don't do that kind of thing, but...
Yeah, never attribute to malice what you can attribute to just dumb luck.
Yeah. I really don't understand how they were that far off. I don't know who greenlit that and thought that was a good idea. Like, how did that go through so many different executives, so many people that are passionate about Sonic, and nobody said, yeah, this is going to turn into a complete shit bomb. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And I don't think it was a conspiracy theory type situation. No way.
No, I think they ended up just benefiting from the Streisand effect of just getting so much bad press because of it. Mm-hmm. They unintentionally managed to get enough people who probably wanted to just go see it to just be like, oh, this is going to be a train wreck. I got to go see. And then apparently it turned out being like an okay film.
Yeah, it was good. I would say at the low end of good. I wasn't like super impressed by it, but I was entertained. Evie had a good time, which means a lot to me. That's all I expected. So I was happy with it. And it seems like you guys were pretty happy with it too. So that's pretty cool. That is TLEO's Has No Game. Let's get some wheel spins done here because you guys have supported already with Jersey Tom subbing and 9Fox. You guys did add 3 minutes on the stream timer, even though it's not up on screen, guys. Stream timer is active. Even after the show ends, I will stick around and do some marbles, whatever, if you guys extend the length of the stream with subs, tips, and cheers. And of course, we get those prize wheel spins as well. So we're going to spin right now for Jersey Tom first. This one is for you, kind sir. Thank you so much for your 28 months of support.
And by the way, friends, we are all about the full extension on the Level Up show.
Yes, they call it full chub. And the wheel says 100 to the entire room. And we're also going to spin for Derek as well, tier 2. Got 100 plus, wait for it, plus bonus as well for the next hour. Way to go, room. Streamlabs chatbot's been going so slow lately, by the way. Ooh. Speaking of, guys, don't forget, if you want to join the show like Jersey Tom did, you can type in !Q in the chat. That is QUEUE. And you'll be put in line on Streamlabs chatbot and also provide you with the link to join the Discord voice channel so that I can drag you onto the show. Right now, we're going to go to a short commercial break. When we come back, we are getting into the big topic of the week. Xbox Games Showcase happened, and a lot was showing off, 20-something, like low 20s in games and reveals and new trailers, and I think there's a lot of mixed feelings on it. So we're going to have a great discussion on it, and if we can get more than just Tom on the show, that would be fantastic. So now is your chance. I
appreciate that the 9Fox just made the same mistake that I did.
I think he's doing it intentionally. I think he's busting balls, I think is what's happening.
What did I just say? Don't attribute to malice what you can attribute to somebody just being an idiot like me.
This is true. I'll give it to you. All right, guys. You, 9Fox. Hold on tight. Razor. We'll be back in approximately 90 seconds. Welcome back, Level Uppers, to the Level Up Show, episode 296, or should I say, King Kurt 757 presents the Level Up Show, episode 296, a gaming dedicated talk show on every other Sunday, I'm going to say at this point. We're going to get back into the habit. Every other Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I do have Jersey Tom joining me right now. So everybody in the chat, Jersey Tom, he's trying to get affiliate on Twitch. We can make this happen. Check him out right now. Go to Jersey Tom. He's in the chat with the _ I believe. Jersey _ Tom. Am I right on that, Tom?
It is actually, shoot, now I don't know.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, it is _. There is an underscore there.
Put a post in the chat so people can see you. And everybody click on that name, go to his channel, give him that follow, at least check out a stream from Jersey Tom, and let's help him get that affiliate status. Come on now.
Because that's what I need. I gotta get the 3 consecutive viewers. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm stuck at. That
way you can start getting those subs and those cheers and all that. It's really cool. Oh, and the raid too from Derek the 9Fox. There you go. I was right. Jersey _ Tom. Do it, you guys.
There you go, Derek.
And now is your chance, guys, to jump in on Discord. Let me see if anybody else is in the queue. Nobody's in there right now, but if anybody wants to jump on the queue, I will drag you onto the Level Up Show channel so you can be a part of the topic of the week, which is going to be Xbox Game Showcase. Before we get into that, just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying the show, we got 33 people in the room. If you're enjoying the show and you're new here, hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/levelupshow. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get those alerts when I go live on Wednesdays with Variety Gaming, Sundays with either Variety Gaming or the Level Up Show, our talk show we've been doing for almost 7 years now. If you enjoy that kind of thing, be a part of this community. Get on our Discord too, discord.gg/the levelupnetwork. You can be on there tonight to be a part of The Voice. The Voice, as I like to call it, Tom. I'm just going to call you The Voice. And lastly...
Or Thick Bowser, as Derek likes to call him.
Oh, Thick Bowser. So long, Thick Bowser. Like
so long, Thick Bowser. By the way, did you see that came out, actually, as part of those leaks?
Oh, we're going to get into that. Yeah,
yes.
we're definitely going to get into that on the rapid fire.
I'm jumping ahead on the queue.
Yeah, you're jumping again, far ahead. That's like the last thing tonight. Yeah. We're going to get into that big leak for Nintendo. But one more thing, if you guys want to go above and beyond, you can do so. Subs, tips, cheers, get you spins of the prize wheels. And on top of that, you do extend the length of the stream. We can get that maximum extension tonight, aka full chub, so that I can stick around after the talk show. And I think we'll do some marbles tonight, some marbles on stream, and have some fun with that. All right. No more time wasted here. Let's get into the topic of the week, Xbox Games Showcase. This was very exciting. A lot of build up for this because PlayStation had their turn. I thought they knocked it out of the park. I was really, really excited with PlayStation. I didn't think it was perfect. I think there was one or two things missing in my mind that would have made it perfect. It wasn't perfect, but I was incredibly excited about it. And I was really hoping that Xbox Game Showcase would match that. And it would just be the Xbox version of it. I'm not a part of the Xbox ecosystem, so I knew it wouldn't hit me in the same way PlayStation did. But overall, before we even get into it, I think that this was sort of hit or miss. There was definitely some strong things here, but it never quite felt like this is a new generation. Get hyped. This felt like a huge advertisement for an amazing service, which is Xbox Games Pass. Would you agree with that, Tom?
I would agree with everything you just said 100%. Honestly, Nothing about this show seemed like they were about to launch a new console. The entire thing felt like it might as well have just been, exactly as you said, an advertisement for Game Pass.
Yeah.
Which, granted, because they have the PC version now, I'm probably going to be playing a lot of these games on my PC.
That's exactly why I was excited for it, because I don't need to be a part of the Xbox ecosystem in the way of owning their console, which I've pretty much never done. I was excited for this because it was the first time I was like, I don't need an Xbox at all. I can play probably every single game here, and I did expect that to be the case. I was like, every single game they show here is probably going to be released day one on Game Pass, so I can be a part of that on PC, on xCloud eventually, whatever. I can be excited for everything that's shown here. So I went into this with a lot of positivity. I wanted to be hyped, and to jump ahead to my ending feelings, I wasn't quite that. And I think we will go game by game here and talk about what did excite us and what didn't quite work. Let's start with the way they started the show. Halo Infinite gameplay reveal, something that has been built up for such a long time now. We've been waiting for this. We had that cutscene, I feel like 2 years ago, where he was revealed to be in space. I feel like it was 2 years ago. And now it just feels like 2 years finally ago. We're getting gameplay. I was expecting this to be a juggernaut showing. Like where it was going to be, this show's $500 million production value. You know what I mean? Like the rumors of $500 million production value. Like they've got to get this right. Halo is their premier franchise. You know, it is a launch title on Xbox Series X. This could be their Breath of the Wild moment, and they're going to treat it that way. And for me, it was fine. It looked good. It was a decent showing, but I definitely didn't come away from it saying that is like day one killer app. This thing is going to be enormous. I didn't quite feel like that. What was your feeling on Halo, Tom?
Well, look, on paper, it was the correct way to start the show.
Definitely.
It's exactly what you need to do in order to get people hyped. the issue is that as I watched it and as I got into it, and then I saw they pulled up the open world map, and I was like, oh, this is Halo Presents the Borderlands.
Yeah,
is what
and
this
we kind of
is.
knew
And-
that was probably the direction they were going in, right? It's called Halo Infinite. I think a lot of us expected them to go more open world.
Right.
Yeah.
To be positive about it, I mean, I was excited to see that the game looked and moved and felt like classic Halo. It didn't.
Yes, that was
feel
my
like
first
how they
reaction.
started
Was
getting.
like, holy shit! Like this is bringing me back to a franchise that I've never really owned, because I never really owned an Xbox, but I was so a part of the zeitgeist for that because my cousins were huge Halo fans. I watched them play it every day during the summer, and we loved it. I was excited for new Halo games because of that, because of living vicariously through them. And watching that opening where he walks off the like helicarrier type thing, I was like, holy shit, this is bringing me back. I'm feeling a major nostalgia kick here for this, and it was weird to me. I was like, this feels
Absolutely,
like Halo Combat Evolved. So that was a great start, but when they started showing the open world stuff, it felt very by the numbers to me. Like, if you're going to show Halo open world for the first time, maybe show what it's doing unique about it. But literally it's just open up map, choose waypoint, drive there. It's like, okay, like that's like the most basic of open world. Like, of course, you have a big map and a point you can put down and you can travel to.
The only thing more cliche is if he had to climb a tower and then it revealed more of the map.
And God, that might be the case. He did climb a tower at one point. Was that to reveal more of the map? I don't think so, right? Not in
that seemed like it was specifically an objective, because he mentioned in that cutscene that's going on or just finished that he was specifically trying to take out that AA tower. So it was a mission objective that he was completing. So, and it seemed like the map was completely open to him. Nothing was like hidden behind like those open world clouds that you're used to seeing.
It had that heart and soul of Halo, like the grunts, the sound design, the weapons, the movement, all that was there for sure. But I think we need to preface this by saying COVID's a bitch. It's affecting everybody. Yes. All that being said, I was not impressed visually by this.
Well, yeah, 100%, because you look at it and, this didn't say on it anywhere alpha gameplay or
it didn't.
Anything else like that. It specifically said this is a beta. And, I mean, I'm sure Agent Vincent would probably be able to give a little bit more clarity onto that. But, look, this game is supposed to release holiday. We're only a couple of months away from when this game is supposed to release. Like, I don't know how much more visually this thing is going to change.
I can't imagine very much.
A little bit of polish points.
I think one thing people bring up often is Gears 4, or was it Gears 5? It was actually Gears 5 that had a really great turnaround. Not that it was bad at all before, but it showed a lot of progress in its visuals in the last several months. That could certainly happen for Halo. And this might be a several month old, gameplay demo due to COVID reasons. I could definitely see that being the case. I don't think it's going to change drastically. I don't think you're going to see this game look completely different come holiday season. I think we need to just kind of expect this so that we don't get our hopes up.
100%.
That being said, like, it doesn't mean like this game could be fantastic with these visuals, but I think the problem is the contrast between how Xbox is talking about their new console and how the games, especially a premier franchise like Halo, looked at the start of this event. This is a console that is the most powerful console ever made. 12.2 teraflops. This is going to blow PS5 out of the water. And then they start with this game, which is their premier franchise. And in all honesty, if I'm being completely honest right now, and I'm not trying to shit on this, I feel like after The Last of Us Part 2, I thought that game looked better. And it's a completely different genre. It's a wide linear, a story focus versus like Twitch shooter open world. But when you're jumping to a new generation that has 3 times the teraflops of PS4 Pro, and it's the premier franchise that's been rumored to have this enormous production budget, I kind of expected it to look better than a game I just played on PS4 Pro. Just a little bit.
Right. Look, the way you have to look at this is, to be completely fair to the game itself. It's, as we said, it's an open world linear game. We know this. It's apparently a huge game. They said it was like what, 2 or 3 or I think even like maybe 5 times as big as like the last Halo game.
That's right.
So if you're going to be making something that's that massive, and as they also tried to make a point of, this is going to be at a consistent 60 frames per second. the visuals are probably going to take a little bit of a hit.
Mm-hmm.
But I did also make this other point is, not everything needs to be super realistic.
No.
There's a little bit of cartoony-ish or cartoony nature with the Halo games. It's never been going for complete photorealism.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned, and as I joked with somebody, either it was on the Level Up Show Discord or somewhere else, that, if their art style, if what they were shooting for was to look like Beast Wars, then they kind of hit it. Because this is that as I look at the visuals now and as I watch it running, I'm like, this looks like Beast Wars toward the later seasons.
It comes off a little bit uninspired, maybe, but maybe that's just because they are trying to stick with the heart and soul of Halo. They don't want to, depart too far from that, and that's totally fine. It did feel very much like Halo, and it looked like it played great. It was very smooth. The movement from the warthog jumping out, getting into combat, it all went together really well, and that was exciting to see. And they are talking a little bit about what is to come. There are some rumors about what's not to come as well, although it's been shot down. I'm going to get rid of that right now. Multiplayer releasing separately, is that going to happen? That was the rumor. They're saying no. But that was some pretty reliable people saying that. So I'm curious to find out if there's some middle ground, some, area between that's going to be the case when it comes to when the multiplayer is releasing. The other thing that was a very strong focus, with this release is that it is a games as a service. There is no sequel coming for a long time. And, we should expect Infinite to grow as time goes on in the Xbox Series X generation. I think we all know from the past games as a service games that they often do start off pretty lackluster, with low 70s in reviews on Metacritic, and then they build an audience and they grow and they improve, and 2 years later it's like, holy shit, this game has become amazing. And that could certainly be a trajectory for Halo Infinite, even if it doesn't start as great. It might start off as great, but if it doesn't, it might be a game that becomes fantastic 1, 2, 3 years down the line. If we're talking visually, another reveal was that ray tracing is coming post-launch. That was surprising to me. Is this COVID related? It's got to be, but at the same time, it's like, God, maybe they should just delay this. I know that would be such a crazy thing to do for their new console that is launching with Halo, but I feel like they got to get this right. And
I feel like they don't have the time at this point. Now it's locked in. COVID is obviously taking a hit on everybody, and I think they're hoping, and I think at least me, I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for the greater Xbox community. And which again, I'm not a part of either. Mm-hmm. But for me, I completely understand. You have to get this game out to compete. This is going to be your system seller. If you're going to say, hey, we're going to release the Xbox Series X, but Halo is going to come out in January or it's going to come out in February, you're not going to sell any consoles. You're going to sell some, obviously, but the big draw is going to be Halo. But if somebody's like, all right, well, if I'm just going to wait until February, I don't need to spend this money now, especially in this environment, for a new console, if the game that I want to play on it isn't coming out for another 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Solely just so they can put in ray tracing of all things, which yes, visually, there's enough visually that we're already even talking about with this game that ray tracing in and of itself is not going to fix the issues that we have just already brought up.
Right. I just hope that if there are greater problems, ray tracing is not a great problem. If there are greater problems with this game, I really hope that they will assess the situation and determine, is this ready for launch? And I hope they have the balls to maybe delay it a little bit. If not, I doubt that'll be the case. They're going to want this thing out there.
Could. It's not going to look good in the investors in Q4 if they have to say, well, our big system seller game is not going to come out because we couldn't get ray tracing in.
I think Halo Infinite is sort of representative of a concern that many people have for Xbox Series X and their approach to generational transitions. They started off this thing, and in previous interviews this week and prior week, Phil Spencer talking about how the next 2 years probably all games that release first party on Xbox Series X will also be playable on Xbox One S, on Xbox One X. And there was a lot of discussion on what does that mean for pushing the hardware? What does that mean for pushing Xbox Series X? And it was a discussion of scalability. How much can we scale up and achieve what PlayStation is going to be doing with ground up built PS5 games? Is there going to be a contrast there? And I think for a game like Halo Infinite, which clearly started in development on Xbox One S, Xbox One X, we can see that there's only so much you can do with scaling. There's not some button you can press, some next gen button that's going to change everything. It just doesn't work that way.
No, never does.
Especially when it comes to game design. I think we saw, and I hope this improves by launch, but even like the way things were popping in on that Halo Infinite trailer, it doesn't seem like it is going to be able to take advantage of the super powered SSD of the Xbox Series X. That's just kind of the vibe I got there. And that's a real bummer for the first time Halo has gone open world. I hope that it's something that they can gradually improve in the games as a service way as time moves on, and improve that pop-in and those load times and things of that nature. But I do think it shows that there is going to be a big difference between the generational transition that PlayStation is doing and the generational transition that Xbox is doing. And then when you take on top of that a lot of the games that were showing off at this thing, as we're going to get to, did not say Xbox One S X at the bottom of the screen. Does that mean that they are sort of pulling back on that original promise? Or does it mean that these games are that far away? I think it's that these games are that far away. Because I think if the promise was from Phil Spencer that for 2 years, anything that's first party from Xbox is going to be on all the consoles, like they need to hit that. That's something that their ecosystem, their community has become attached to and is excited for. It's not something I'm excited for. I would actually want the complete opposite, but it's something that they have pushed very hard. So if they don't deliver on that promise, I think that's going to really bite them in the ass.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's as the selling point. Yes, that you have to be able to try and hit that promise as best you can. It does seem like, and I did get that kind of impression that it seemed like they wanted to try and roll back a little bit on some of those titles. Mm-hmm. But I thought I wrote down a general note because I actually rewatched the press conference before the show.
Okay.
And I took down a general note. Yeah, well, they had some other games. They didn't specifically mention Halo 5, but I know they mentioned, and this might come up later, but they did mention games like Forza 4, Gears 5. Sea of Thieves, all basically getting upscaled and basically going up as you get a Series X. And that's a big thing to hit, that you need to be able to still do that, because there's a lot of people who are going to have those games that they're going to want to see them continue on into the next generation.
Yep, without a doubt. I want to welcome a few people here. Trooper, welcome to the show. And also Exoiled, so good to see you again, man. Always great to have you here. One of our old school members of the community. Cabbage Man coming in, I think, for the first time, saying this green screen setup is awesome. Thank you for saying that, Cabbage Man. That's very nice of you. What the hell even is ray tracing? It actually can apply to both lighting and audio, from what I understand. And it's kind of what it sounds like. It's about how things bounce off the environment realistically. It's something that's used in like rendering. If for instance I'm doing renders for an architectural project where I built, I modeled a building in this software and I render it out. Ray tracing is something that results in a very realistic lighting profile. That's kind of the gist of ray tracing. It's just better lighting, but it can apply to audio as well, which we're going to see in this new generation with 3D audio. So that's exciting. Probably the best example. Yes. Probably the best example is Red Dead Redemption for 360 to Xbox One X. As far as backwards compatibility and improving it, I haven't really seen it, but I have heard great things about Red Dead Redemption on and its backwards compatibility. I've heard amazing things about that.
I haven't seen it either, but yeah, I've seen the same things that you have.
Mm-hmm. He built a Taco Bell. Damn right I have. BK Gamer coming in with that follow. I appreciate that. Welcome to the community. Glad to have you here. Let's continue on with what's next in the Xbox Game Showcase. Just a CGI trailer is what it felt like to me, but it might have been real time. State of Decay 3. I think a lot of people when they first saw it were like, "Ooh, are they going like in a Last of Us direction here? Is this going to be a new IP?" That's kind of what I was hoping for in a way, that they were just going to try and sort of copy PlayStation in that regard. But there's definitely an audience for State of Decay, especially with how well the second game did on Game Pass. So, this one, it seemed to have a different vibe in my opinion. I don't think they've ever brought the virus to animals, but I could be completely wrong on that. I'm not involved in that IP whatsoever. Thought it was a cool showing, but it was the start of something that I found to be a disappointment about this event, was that there was a lot of what felt like CGI trailers and not a lot of gameplay. Would you agree with that, Tom?
That seemed to be the general theme of the show in general. It was a lot of announcements, and it's very much in the same way as I think it was the last E3 where Microsoft spent a lot of time talking about all the studios that were joining them, but they didn't have any sort of project attached to them. Now we have some projects attached to some of these studios, and even ones that they've already owned forever.
Yeah.
But we're still just getting announcements of games. We're not getting any idea on what some of these games are. Like in my notes, I have a lot of like question marks by a lot of these things because we don't know like what's going on with these games.
Like how far away is this game? How long have they been working on the next entry in the State of Decay franchise? I would hope since State of Decay 2. So it's got to be a couple years now, right? State of Decay 2 was...
you would think so, because State of Decay 2 was a while ago. So they've had plenty of time to work on this at this point. That it's kind of disappointing where you look at it and you don't see any sort of gameplay.
Over 2 years ago
that
the game came out. Like 2 years and they've got no gameplay to show? Or is it just that they didn't want to show gameplay? But if that's the case, how did Xbox not learn their lesson on that?
Right.
That seems crazy to me.
Right. I will say that the one thing that they tease in the trailer, which is aside from the fact that this seems to be a lot more serious tone to State of Decay, because not to say that State of Decay had like a goofy tone to it, but like this trailer specifically seemed to like really, really go in for a very gritty kind of Last of Us kind of feel, as you previously mentioned. I was excited when I looked at it and they showed the zombie deer, and I'm like, I haven't seen any franchise do something like this with zombie animals since like Resident Evil Outbreak, where you have
one
like
that did do it is Days Gone. I don't know if you played that, but Days Gone did go in that direction.
Days Gone as well. But like, I think it's one thing in like a lot of zombie fiction specifically, like that is a way to freshen it up, is where of course the virus also affects animals. Why wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I honestly was kind of surprised that The Last of Us never went in that direction, really, with animals. But I think it's fine to have a focus like that. And I don't know if somebody in chat would have to tell me, but I didn't see if State of Decay, this is new to that franchise, where animals can be infected. I don't know if that is the case. If it's a new addition, that's kind of exciting. That's kind of exciting. I could see a lot of people grabbing onto that. Moving on, Forza Motorsports. It looked great. One of the most visually impressive things I saw during the event, but it was very fast, so it didn't give me a lot of time to inspect those visuals. Car games are one of the best ways to show off new hardware, because let's be honest, cars are not as difficult to get right as a human being. There's just a lot more that you have to keep in mind when you're simulating the skin and how light diffuses through the skin and this and that. There's so much to keep in mind there, but a car is metal and it allows you to really show some insane visuals. Motorsport, Forza Horizon and Motorsport has always been at like the front of that. I think lately in a way even more so than Gran Turismo. So once again, I was just surprised that we didn't get anything. I was just like, wow, like this probably looks amazing. And you're not gonna really show us gameplay. I thought that was really cool during the PlayStation event, is that they announced Gran Turismo 7 and then it went right into an uncut gameplay segment where you're just racing for a minute or two. I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Nice.
Right. And that's where Gran Turismo takes the lead on this, is the fact that they actually were willing to show gameplay, and they did.
Yeah.
The only thing that we got in this Forza trailer is we got what were the vanity shots that you get in Gran Turismo, which I think some of that could be gameplay, just on the spectator mode per se. But they said Phil Spencer, and it says it right down there at the bottom there, footage captured in engine.
Yep.
So they're saying this is not CGI. This is everything that's actually in the engine. So
yeah, which doesn't mean gameplay. Let's make that clear.
It doesn't mean
engine
gameplay.
Does not mean gameplay, but
it doesn't. But specifically like those small shots that we're seeing like interspersed like here. As I'm watching the stream, so it's probably not catching up for you so much, or for everybody else. But in some of these shots where we're seeing where it's intercut with the actual racing of the cars, I can see that being actual gameplay footage and not CGI.
Yes, I agree 100%. I don't think any of that was CGI. I really don't. I
don't
think
think any of that was to really tell, because they don't give us the uncut versions of it. Like it's all just like it's very quick cuts. It's almost like you're trying to hide it from everybody.
I do think they're going to get very close to that footage there, without a doubt. I mean, Turn 10 and Playground, when they did Horizon, which I don't think is going to be the case anymore, as we'll discuss later, they've always hit amazing visuals on that franchise. I just would have liked to have seen it, like truly seen it uncut. That would have been a really cool moment. We didn't get it. But just go to Exoil. No, I don't think the Xbox event was a bomb. We'll give our rating on it at the very end of this, but I don't think it was a bomb, because even though we didn't see gameplay of these things, there were several exciting things announced here. So you can't take that away.
This was far from a bomb, Exoil.
No, it wasn't a bomb.
I would not call this a bomb. Like, I saw people saying like, "Oh, it's a snooze fest" and everything else like that. And that's completely unfair.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I know like King Kurt said he fell asleep and he's an actual Xbox guy. I wouldn't go that far. I was certainly disappointed, as we'll discuss, and I do think that they dropped the ball in what I consider to be a major moment for them coming after PlayStation, but that doesn't mean it was a bomb. Moving on though. Everwild, Rare's new game, a really beautiful trailer here. Yeah, beautiful looking game. Kind of feels like they've taken what they've done with Sea of Thieves and that graphical style, and they've taken it to the next level. A beautiful world, interesting story that it seems like they're setting up here with saving the wilderness. It kind of reminds me of Forbidden West, actually, or Ori.
Save the animals.
Yeah, save the animals, which I'm definitely all in for. The unfortunate thing is that coming after this trailer, we found out that Rare doesn't really know much else about what this game is going to be, at least from what they're saying. Like, they don't actually even know what the gameplay is going to be yet. So even though this looks really promising, I'm really excited for it. I can't get too excited because this game's got to be really far away. Like, really far away.
This very much, like, after hearing from the Rare representative who was talking about this game, very much just seems like this is just supposed to be a tone trailer.
Yeah.
Like, it's just trying to give you an idea on what this is, because this doesn't seem like it's going to be a very big combat game or anything.
And look at the bottom of the screen there. Xbox Series X, Windows PC. Doesn't say Xbox One. So I think that is your indicator. Whenever you see that at the bottom of the screen with these games being revealed, that means that game is more than 2 years away. Because it's not going to fall into that promised timeline of every first-party title in the next 2 years will also play on Xbox One S and X. So I think we need to keep that in mind, that this game is a long ways away. This was a very satisfying tone trailer. I think this is going to be one to keep an eye on, without a doubt. And I think Rare is showing that they are getting back to being one of those premier developers. Sea of Thieves started off a little rough, but has come an incredibly long way, doing very well on Game Pass.
There's still some problems with that game, but it is absolutely turned around from what it was.
Yes, without a doubt. They really turned that into a success story. So I would love to see Rare turn into another one of those AAA Naughty Dog, coalition level studios. I think that's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Let's see. After that, we have Tell Me Why up on screen right now. It's just another trailer, but it got a release date out of it. August 27th, Tell Me Why is coming out. This is a new game from Don't Nod. And it looks like it's going to be a really sort of heart-wrenching drama, but also with some supernatural elements. It's about a brother and a sister. Well, it was two sisters, actually, and the one had a sex change and is now her brother. So you're going to find out about their story and about all the things that he faced in his transition, and it's going to be probably a pretty tough play, I bet, because you're going to deal with a lot of the trauma that he experienced, I bet. But I was surprised to see how much of the supernatural element was involved during this trailer. It looks like it could be promising. Nothing has really grabbed me from Don't Nod like Life is Strange Season 1. I never even played Season 2. I think I will someday, but I don't know. I don't know why I kind of fell off on their games. Are you still playing Don't Nod games?
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed Don't Nod games. I mean, I go as far back as I believe they also did Remember Me.
They did. You're right.
I'm a longtime fan of their storytelling, whether or not their gameplay and some of the games could, is up for debate. But the storytelling has always been very well done.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for this. These guys are born storytellers. They're great at doing it, and especially touching on topics and demographics that are extremely, I think, underrepresented and not necessarily treated in the best of light, or given the kind of reverence that I think other kind of relationships or how just other people are represented for the most part.
Yeah,
I'm with you there. Usually aren't given that. Yeah, so I think this is a great it's a great thing. I'm intrigued by it, which I think is all you could really ask for in those types in these types of, I don't want to call it a Telltale game, but in these kind of visual novel-esque kind of choose your own adventure games.
I go into what Resonance said in the chat,
and that's the best thing that I can say about it.
Supernatural is usually an element in Don't Nod games. You are 100% right. I just thought this was going to be their moment to do a more grounded story. I think when I heard that it was about these siblings and one having that transition, I was like, oh, they're going to do a grounded story here with no supernatural elements. So I was a little surprised to see that. But it doesn't mean it's going to take away from what they're trying to tell. It might even enhance it. I just was a little surprised at that. Next up, we got up on screen right now, Ori and the Will of the Wisps getting that Xbox Series X update. They were showing off 120 FPS with this game. And on top of that, just improved visuals in general. This game's already obviously stunning. One of the best looking games of its type, if not the best looking, honestly. So for them to take it to another level with 4K and 120 FPS, like, holy shit, this game is going to be a looker.
Yeah, there is no reason why anybody should skip Ori at that point. If you have the ability to play it at 120 with the improved visuals, and I'm also excited about the improved audio that they've mentioned as well. There is no reason why anybody should skip out on Ori. Play Ori.
Yeah, it's one of the best Metroidvania franchises out there, without a doubt. And there's been a lot of good ones recently, like Hollow Knight, and Ori is right up there with it. So definitely check that out if you're into that style of game. Thank you to Extreme Gamer SB for that follow. Second follow of the night. Can we get to that big 5 out of 5, guys? Keep sharing the show. Get some more people in here. Can we get to the 5-0? And can we get that 5 follows tonight? Hit that follow button if you're enjoying the stream. Right now, we've got Outer Worlds Peril of Gorgon on stream, announced during the event. I can't say I care at all about this. I did play about 3 hours of Outer Worlds, and it did absolutely nothing for me. I know there's an audience for it. I know a lot of people really like that game. It's just not my thing. It's as simple as that. But cool to see that they're going to release some DLC, and it's not the only thing we've got coming from. God, what's her name? Obsidian. Obsidian, but I'll give you a moment. Are you excited for this at all? Outer Worlds, Peril of Gorgon?
Look, the only thing I have on my notes for this is it's more Outer Worlds. Like that's pretty much it. It's the same thing as like any other DLC that they've put out for like look, they didn't do most of the Fallouts. They did New Vegas, so it's just in the same vein of this stuff. New weapons, new area. I'm sure there are people who are like super excited for it. I don't even think Denny, who's a huge Obsidian mark, I don't think he even is like that crazy up on this. But it's more game at the end of the day. That's what it is.
Yeah, something that I would be much more excited about is what they announced as like a new IP, even though it isn't necessarily. We did get a quick trailer for Grounded. I was trying to remember if it was before or after their new IP. Grounded looks like fun. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the video game. I mean, it's really cool that Obsidian has the opportunity to do something like this in addition to Outer Worlds and this new IP. It's like awesome. They're really giving them free reign there at Microsoft, and that's what they need to do. That's like the big difference that needed to happen between the old what the hell's his name, that fucking guy that started off the Xbox One generation,
that effing guy.
Yeah, I think I blocked his name out of my memory at this point because he just was such a tool. But Phil Spencer, I'm sorry, what was that?
Was it a Molyneux?
Don Matrick.
Don Matrick? Oh yeah,
that was his name, right?
Of course.
Yeah, that guy, come on now. And there's been such a difference as in comparison to then Phil Spencer just changing everything when
You
it
can
comes
play
to the
360
studios.
games on a 360 if you want it.
Bringing in a lot of new studios and having those studios have free reign. So Grounded looks like a really fun little title from them. But I think one of the most exciting announcements of the entire event came next from Obsidian, and it was their Pillars-esque new RPG called Avowed. This was a CGI trailer up until maybe the very end, but I'm okay with it because this is one of those tentpole announcements where it's like it's okay to announce it 4 years ahead, because I think a lot of people are going to get really, really excited about this, knowing it's Obsidian, knowing that it's sort of a spiritual successor to their other franchise. I was totally cool with this, and I think it looks really promising. Yeah, it's probably 4 years away, so I'm not going to get too excited, but I'm going to keep an eye on this one without a doubt.
Yeah, it's a bit away, but it seems like only the natural progression for them that they're going to do essentially their version of Elder Scrolls just within Pillars.
Yeah,
and it makes sense for them 100%. I'm excited for it. I can't wait to hear more about it. But I'm exactly in your boat as well. I'm not expecting to see anything substantial about this game until 2023.
Yeah.
These
are the kind of announcements that it's fine to do CGI because they're that far away. The problem was that it happened too often in this event. We should have had gameplay for those games that are in the next 1-2 years, hopefully in the next 1-2 years. That's sort of the concern is like, wait, how far are these games out if you're not showing gameplay? Since it happened so consistently throughout the event, it gradually started to wear, I think, on us as the viewer. But Avowed was one of those ones where I was like, this is fine. I'm okay with this. Let's put up full screen real quick here, because this is where we get what might be actual gameplay.
I'm calling this 100%. This is a bullshot.
I agree. I think this is a target vertical slice type scenario. But if they can achieve this sort of Balrog type moment in game in 3-4 years, oh boy, that's exciting for next gen. Like, that's what I want to see right there.
But anybody who's like not necessarily into like Pillars or anything else, who's like I would say casual-esque, like they're looking at that and say, oh, this looks like really good Elder Scrolls. This looks like not janky looking Elder Scrolls.
Exactly.
That's going to get a lot of people immediately to just be like, oh, I want to play this.
It's one of those areas that PlayStation has not really gone after, and I don't quite understand it myself.
I think they were going to try to do it with Deep Down, weren't they?
Yeah, if that game was going to be exclusive,
if that game was ever going to come out,
if that game was ever going to come out, I got more of a Souls-esque vibe with with an online focus from Deep Down. But we'll never even know. We'll never know what that was supposed to be. So
that's unfortunately a real shame.
Yeah, I do think that they need a high fantasy Western RPG in the PlayStation catalog someday. They've got their Western RPG in the form of Horizon Zero Dawn. I think you would say that is sort of in that vein. But I'm talking like Elder Scrolls, Avowed style high fantasy Western RPG. There's such an audience for that, and I think it would do well on PlayStation.
If they could somehow find a way to do a Baldur's Gate-esque kind of game, but have it be first person.
Oh man,
because that's the one note that I had. Is like, man, I was like, I would really love to have a Baldur's Gate where you are actually first person and you can actually go full D&D with it, choose your class, choose your race, and maybe it would be MMO, maybe you could still do it within a small AI party, work it out some way. If PS5 could manage to get something like that off the ground, I would be all over that.
Without a doubt. Next up, a small little indie style title was revealed called As Dusk Falls. And it kind of came across like a visual novel to me, where it was all artwork that was, it had like some animation and transitions, but as you'll see on screen,
it looked like motion comic is what it looked like.
Yeah, like a very small, like low budget title, but just padding out Game Pass in a way. I think we're going to see a lot of that moving forward, and I want to go into more detail about this when we're done talking about all the games, but like what Game Pass means for like how games are designed and what Xbox pushes. But Dusk Falls is that, hey, let's get some small indie titles on here as well. We're not going to do a lot of AAA single player focused stuff on Game Pass, so we're going to have to go with things like this with that are a little lower budget. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah.
I'll talk about it later.
Interactive drama, they're calling it.
I think we'll see a lot of this. We'll see a lot of tell me why. You know, we're going to see that padding out Game Pass with things that aren't games as a service. It didn't do too much for me, I'll admit. This trailer, I thought the artwork's beautiful. I'll say that, but I don't know. So something, it didn't grab me. It was just kind of another game that was revealed there that kind of passed by. But I think
I mean, look,
go ahead.
There's an audience for people who really love visual novels and love these kinds of games. Unfortunately, I'm with you 100%. This game didn't really do much, and I think as much as the visuals look nice, it's also the fact that it looks like it's a visual novel. Like, I don't know how much gameplay I'm actually playing. Like, I don't know what. I don't know what. It
seems like you're gonna, choose options. Probably you're gonna make decisions, and that's probably gonna be about it. Which is fine. There's an audience for that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it wasn't like a major reveal. It was just kind of a cool little moment there. This was a major disappointment and a drop ball moment, in my opinion. Hellblade 2, Senua Saga, Hellblade 2, however you want to call it. That was the first game ever revealed for Xbox Series X. It set the tone for what the new generation is going to be. And it was that moment where it's like, can PlayStation ever even come close to matching these visuals? This is them showing, hey, we're 12.3 or 12.2 teraflops. Come at us, Sony. And also considering Hellblade is such an amazing game. I love Hellblade. So it was one of those that is huge,
Hellblade was one of the first ones that I fully did a playthrough of, and it is by far and away one of my favorite games of the past generation. Like, it is in my top 5.
So to come to probably the biggest Xbox event of the year, I think this is going to be that, coming right after the PlayStation reveal event, to come to this and bring Hellblade, they should have just not brought it at all, to bring Hellblade and have it be, it's set in Iceland. Check out our little documentary video about it being set in Iceland. It was like, holy shit, this game is 3 years away at least. And what you showed us at the Game Awards in November of last year, I now doubt that is indicative of what this game is going to look like. Not saying you can't hit that, but clearly 100% that was just, hey, we're going to put this down to 24 FPS. We're going to limit it to just a shot of a face so we can push this thing as far as possible with an in-engine demonstration and make people think like this is what Xbox Series X is. And I think it's going to bite them in the ass in a major way, because now people look at Halo Infinite in comparison to that reveal, and it's like, what the hell happened? Like, I know completely different games, completely different style, but they did that to themselves. Right. They set that comparison up by starting off their first reveal with Hellblade 2 Senua Saga and it looking like that, and started off their next huge event with Halo Infinite, the premier franchise of Xbox, launch title on Xbox Series X, looking like a good Xbox One X game. It's, it was, they did that to themselves. So I think that was a huge dropped ball moment.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense when they first announced the Series X and they were showing it off, because Ninja Theory, for as small of a studio as they are and not really attached with, or at least previously weren't really attached with anybody, the fact that like they get their visuals up to Square Enix style of just being like a completely gorgeous looking visuals for what they do and who they are. I still personally have a lot of confidence that Ninja Theory could probably hit the mark of what they're looking to get to, and very much in the same way that the first game was. But yes, the fact that was your demonstration and that was your, hey, look at me, like my coming out party is Hellblade, and then but everybody knows the system seller is going to be Halo, and then Halo comes out and you just have the brute. You just have that brute screenshot.
They're embracing it over there at 343, which I think is good. But yeah, that meme's gonna stick around for a while. That thing's not going anywhere. So they're gonna have to live with that, and hopefully they can do something to overcome it. But yep, you're gonna have that brute compared to Senua, and it's like, what the hell happened here?
But to your point, it was 100% disappointing, the fact that all they had was like, oh yeah, by the way, we're doing the game set in Iceland.
They should have just not brought it there at all. It should not have been at this event. Which is fine too, because there were a lot of their first party studios that were not at this event. So they didn't need to be there. Like, why did you do that?
You could have put out a tweet.
Yeah.
To promote that video. You didn't need to have them be part of this showcase.
Yeah, without a doubt. And to Brett's point, yes, Hellblade 2 will look fantastic whenever it comes out because that studio knows how to make incredibly visually impressive games. Because they are very focused on like one thing, right? I'm telling a cinematic story, kind of like The Last of Us. So it allows them to push the boundaries. Do I think they're going to hit that original reveal? No, I don't think they're going to hit that original reveal. Not when it comes to the gameplay, especially. And I don't even think when it comes to the cinematics, I don't think it's going to look like that. That's just my call. We'll have to wait and see. I'll be very happy if they do hit it. Psychonauts 2 just having on screen. Awesome trailer. Game looks fantastic. Jack Black doing the music. This was a great moment. Shadow delayed until 2021, but it is what it is. COVID is a bitch. Yeah. So
not worried about it being delayed. What they had to show here was fantastic.
Yeah,
psychedelic awesome. Music from Jack Black. The entire level that they showed off was amazing. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for it.
It gave me Tearaway vibes, actually. Do you feel that? It gave me Tearaway vibes.
Some Tearaway vibes, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, the colors, the way like certain things look like paper in a psychedelic way. Yeah, I don't know. It was
for me.
It was cool.
Me, it's very hard for me to not look at that game and just be like, this is like prime Tim Schafer. Mm-hmm. So I can't. I look at that. I don't compare it to anything else aside from everything else that Tim Schafer has put his hands on. Like it constantly just feels along those lines for me.
Yeah. Agreed. To those in the chat wondering how grenade works, you do have to be active in the chat for the grenade to be passed to you. Otherwise, it would go to somebody who has never talked in chat or chatted, and they're going to obviously have the grenade explode on them because they're not active. So that's the way it works. You have to be actually chatting in order for the grenade to go to you. Moving on, Destiny 2 Beyond Light expansion up on screen right now. I'm not a Destiny guy, but Destiny is huge. It's very huge. So.
More Destiny.
It's good to have it there. More Destiny. Yeah, but I mean, it's great what they're doing with the next-gen versions of the game. 4K 60. I know Vince actually was a little disappointed that they didn't go 4K 120, but I don't know. I'm not expecting that from really like anything next generation. That's not Ori, that kind of game. Like, I don't think anything that looks like Destiny is going to hit 4K 120. But I
also don't expect anything to hit. I don't expect anything to hit 120 when you're an MMO like this.
Yeah.
I don't see how you manage to pull that off with everything else that you got.
Since you brought that up, and it's going to come up later as well, you consider Destiny to be an MMO?
I do.
You do.
Okay. I do. It to me it follows all of the other. It follows every single thing that you could possibly say about what an MMO is, because you say, oh, well, it's raids. All right, well, Destiny has that. Oh, well, it's RPG elements. Well, Destiny has that. Putting on equipment, taking it off. Oh, I have spell slots. I have like certain things like that. To me, it's an MMO. It's an MMO with FPS with a lot of FPS portions of it. Okay.
That will come back.
I don't consider it a schluter, as some people would say.
In a moment, that will come back into the discussion. Next up was probably the second biggest announcement based on social media metrics of the event. Stalker 2 was revealed to be coming as a timed exclusive to Xbox Series X. Everything at this point, actually, from this point on, if it's third party, is a timed exclusive to Xbox Series X. Now, I know literally nothing about Stalker, but clearly this was a big moment. I just didn't know it because I don't really know this franchise. Do you know Stalker?
I know it. I know it very, very lightly, but yes. Basically, look at this as a proto Metro Exodus is the best way.
That's what I thought it was for a moment. Was maybe like a tease for the next Metro.
It's a proto Metro 2033 in that kind of respect to it. At least in the tone and basic setting, it's a post-nuclear wasteland. That kind of thing, but it's a lot of survival elements to it. It's a lot of managing, worrying about mutants that you're going up against, and other things like that. The first game heavily modded on PC, and that's I think primarily where a lot of its audience was in the PC modding community. So I think a lot of people are really excited for Stalker, mainly for the potential of looking in and seeing how else they can go in and mod this game.
Gotcha. So this doesn't surprise me at all. I actually didn't know this, but the first one was made by the people who made the Metro series. This all makes sense now because you guys watched my reaction to the Xbox Series X event. I was like, could this be Metro? So this makes a lot of sense now that their vibes are there for a reason. So that's cool. I will say, like, Metro, I was very disappointed in. I actually played the first 2 games late last year, and I was like, I don't really get it. I thought it was fine, but it was really hyped up, I guess, for me, and it didn't deliver at all on that hype for me. So hopefully Stalker 2 does, because that was definitely one of the big moments. People are talking about that moment. Even Corey Barlog is talking about that moment on Twitter, like really sort of nerdgasming about it. So that means something. Another one that it kind of felt similar. We had like a couple games in a row here where it's like, this kind of feels like the game we just saw. Warhammer 40K Darktide, another franchise I don't have any attachment to. And again, it was just another CGI trailer. So Stalker 2, I don't know anything about it. CGI trailer. Warhammer 40K Darktide, CGI trailer. And so 2 in a row, I was like, I'm starting to check out here. You know, and that's just me. I'm not saying it means it was bad. It's just for me personally, I was starting to check out a little bit.
For me, it was exciting in the fact that for specifically in Warhammer 40K, the few games that we've gotten out of it, out of that franchise, speaking, you're always playing as basically the Space Marines.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times where you're looking at this and you're like, oh, I'm playing one of the grunts, like one of just like the faceless disposable guys who's got like a little pea shooter. And he's going up against essentially the Warhammer version of zombies. This is basically just going to be, at least from what I'm gathering from it, it's going to be Left 4 Dead Warhammer 40K.
That's the vibe I got. Okay, I'm glad I was on the right track there. That's what it felt like, and it was creepy. Don't get me wrong. In the same way, Stalker 2 was a very creepy trailer. The atmosphere was there, and I felt it. I just when the name was said, I was like, oh, okay. This is a franchise I know nothing about.
For the 40K fans, that's what it's going to be. If you're not into 40K, it's going to mean nothing to you. Then you're just going to play Killing Floor. But this is going to be specifically going for the really, really big guys who just want to shout heretic and stuff like that.
Next up, another timed exclusive mode coming to Xbox Series X for Tetris Effect called Connected. It's like an online mode for the game that I've heard amazing things about, and I actually do really want to play. I think if you have it on PS4, you do get it as a free update, but I think otherwise it's like Xbox Series X exclusive. There's a little bit of a lot of these timed exclusive things. Console timed exclusive was confusing during the conference and now even afterwards. So I could be a little bit off on this, but yeah, the music was fantastic. Resonance, I agree. It had a nice vibe to it, and I do think I'll eventually get around to playing this game someday.
I can listen to this song for hours.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It's got good vibes, real good vibes.
Tetris Effect is absolutely like premier Tetris at its best. Between the music and the graphic fidelity and everything else like that. The thing that I'm interested here specifically, as I'm watching this now, I don't know exactly what they're trying to say here. Are we going to have a 3-person?
That's kind of what I thought.
All of our Tetris blocks just like joining in together. Is that what their version of multiplayer was? Because
I think we'll have to wait and see.
It was going to be more like Tetris 99, where you're competing against other people, where it's like Puzzle Fighter in that way.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's supposed to be like Tetris co-op, which is very interesting.
I think they'll be competitive and cooperative on it, but it said at the top there, single player, new or enhanced single player, and new multiplayer. So, and the multiplayer itself, I guess, is exclusive to Xbox. It's kind of a weird thing. This one up on screen here from SteamWorld Dig creators called The Gunk. And I want to say real quick here, since this is now multiple games in a row, I do admire that there's like 3 or 4 or more games during this event that the main character is a black woman. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I like that a lot. This feels like the return to, the platformer is what it feels like to me. Like we're seeing that a lot right now, the resurgence of platforming games. And this is another one. It's got a little bit of like a Luigi's Mansion mechanic and like sucking things up, which is cool.
I was gonna say more like Mario Sunshine and that kind of way.
Okay, yeah.
It feels a little bit like that. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm a big fan of 3D platformers. I'm happy to see this. The one thing that another announcement that I didn't see in the docket, but there's another game, Balan Wonder World from
that
Square
was
Enix.
Pre-show. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see more of these games come out. It's just a shame, and I'm happy to see it from Square, but it seems like it's still only really the indie studios or like smaller studios who are putting together these 3D platformers, trying to keep that genre alive.
Yeah,
and I think we need more of that.
It's not a AAA genre, it seems, unfortunately. But what was good about that one there is that was gameplay. I like it. Good. Mm-hmm. Good job, the Gunk. Thank you for showing me gameplay. I appreciate that. The Medium does here to a lesser extent, but we do get some cool gameplay from Bloober, I think they're called, with the Medium. This is a cool looking game because it shows that it's trying to take advantage of next generation hardware. It is trying
to my game of the show, by the way.
Use that SSD to create an entirely new mechanic that's never been done before. And I respect the hell out of that. Also just looks like a fucking scary game. Like this looks like Silent Hill to me. Getting a lot of Silent Hill vibes. This is one to keep an eye on without a doubt.
It definitely feels that way, specifically with the going to a different world, jumping dimensions, essentially. You do say that. You mentioned that it seems like it's a mechanic that's never been done in a game before, but there is one game that I can think of that did this, and I wonder how much it had effect in this game getting made.
One where you can actually have it side by side like this?
Well, I don't know if it's... That's the thing, because I was very confused with how it showed, and I don't know if it's
you play both sides at once. That is my impression of it, King Kurt. Yes. You literally play both sides at once. Like right there, you are seeing both sides. That was my impression of watching this event.
But then I saw that beforehand, and I can see that it's rendered simultaneously, but I don't know, like, for instance, you have like this cutscene where I don't know if like this is supposed to be just one person there, or if or how it's going to basically render in that way. But the way I'm thinking of this is more the time mechanic in Titanfall 2's campaign.
Okay,
like that's the way, because essentially speaking, like it seemed like it was done in a very similar way. I don't know if they suspended gameplay in one render as opposed to what this is inferring, which is that it would all be happening simultaneously.
That was my impression, because Bloober has actually come out and said that this game is not possible on the current generation. And when I hear that and I see at the bottom of the screen that says Xbox Series X and not Xbox One X, this is a next gen only game. And it's only possible because of the SSD, allowing them to render both sides at once, not suspend the rendering on the one world and activate the rendering on the other. They are both happening simultaneously.
That's my question is it really that? Is it really where I'm getting the split screen and I'm seeing both sides? Or is it I can jump back and forth as much as I want? Mm-hmm. Like I'm not sure exactly. Like to me, like that's what it infers, but I'm not sure. I can't be sure.
Exactly what points out. It could be as simple as well that it's able to load that quickly enough that if they have a short, like, half second, 1 second transition, it's able to bring in that world quick enough that it's not, detrimental to the experience. Whereas if you did it this generation, it would take like 7 seconds every time you want to activate the other world for it to load in, where, in this one, it might take half a second or a second. So that might be all it is too. But either way, it's something that was not possible in this way on this generation of hardware, and I like that. That's what I want to see. If I'm buying a next generation console, I want things that are not possible on this generation. That is why I'm transitioning to the next generation. That's why I am more in line with Sony's methodology and their mindset on what a generation means. It's totally fine if you disagree with that. If you think it's, consumer friendly and pro-consumer to allow you to play on your previous hardware for 2 years, that's cool. I understand that. It's just not what I want. And maybe it's because, not everybody has the money at launch to get a new hardware. You know, I kind of make sure that I'm saved up and ready to go when new consoles come out, especially new PlayStation consoles. I'm ready to go and get that new console. That's me.
But
personally.
if you're gonna have a hardware like having an SSD, like these things are going to have, you should want to have games that are exclusive to that utilize and are built from the ground up to take advantage of those kind of gimmicks.
Like Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, you know?
Exactly. I mean, and unfortunately, that's the biggest problem and fault with, say, and I'm again not to go console wars, but it's the problem with Nintendo, for instance, where they have these things, but they don't have enough people who want to specifically design around the gimmicks or the extra things that console provides. The thing that's going to bring success and bring games that I think are going to last and want people to jump forward is to have more games that utilize those features that are built in to take advantage of those things.
Yeah, agreed. We fell behind here, but we had a Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis announced. Now, I need to do a little research in this one. My original understanding was that this was sort of like a remake or a remaster. Is this a new game? I don't quite know. What is Phantasy Star Online 2? Is it new, or is it like a remake, a remaster? What is it?
I believe it is it almost feels like it's a reimagining, honestly, of what Phantasy Star Online 2 should be. It seems like they're trying to go more toward like where they originally wanted that game to be and fixing it. So I guess you could call it a remaster or a remake. I think the tagline of it was like New Horizon, or was it like New
Genesis?
New Genesis.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seems like they're finally like at a point now in where game technology is, where they're actually getting PSO2 to be the game that they want it to be, and
that's cool.
They're releasing it in that way.
And I assume it's timed exclusive to Xbox, because I think they said everything at that point for it was. And the other one was Crossfire X here, which has the single player mode timed exclusive, I can't remember, to Xbox. The single player mode on that game is actually developed by Remedy, which is kind of crazy. Not something I would have really thought they would do, but Remedy did an amazing job. Everybody knows with God, why am I drawing a blank on the name? Control. Yeah. So did a fantastic job on that game, which they've got that momentum right now moving into Crossfire X. So I think that game maybe is going to do really well. It's not really my style of game, not something I'm interested in, but Remedy being attached definitely puts a spotlight on it, even for me. And it seemed like the end of the conference, but I think we all knew they were going to do their one more thing moment, and it was definitely something to end on. Very quickly, once they show Playground Games, I know myself, I was like, yep, this is Fable. Was that enough for you? Did you hear all the rumors of Playground being working on Fable?
I heard the rumors that they were working on Fable, and look, I mean, as soon as you saw the fairy, like, you knew, it's like, all right, it's Fable.
Yeah, it's Fable.
Like, you knew right away, and then, like, they have the little humor moment where the fairy gets eaten by the frog and everything else like that. So you had, like, those moments. You're like, all right, well, they're going to keep it being, it's going to be Fable.
Right? It had that tone.
Yeah, it had the tone.
Got it down.
But again, it was, like, exactly as we've been saying, and it's the consistent theme of this show, that all right, great, this is another CGI trailer. This thing's not coming out for like 2 or 3 years.
Even Mike, who is the biggest Fable lover in the world, it's actually his favorite game of all time. I think Fable 2, or I can't remember. Even he was like, now that I think about it, I'm really, really disappointed and almost angry at the way that was revealed. Because
you're like, but why?
I mean, I've heard rumors of Playground working on Fable for like at least 2 years now. And this was, again, their big moment. They're closing the show with it. It is the first time a Fable game has been made in like almost a decade. Playground's working on it, who do amazing visuals, and they gave us a 30-second CGI trailer. Like, what? Like, what? Like, what? Who thought that was a good idea? I mean, I'm excited for it, but holy shit.
They thought that was like, again, it was the theme of the show. Like, they just figured, oh, well, we're just going to show you a bunch of CGI trailers, and we're going to have gameplay for like 2 or 3 games, but not the ones that you really care about.
Yep.
It just seemed like they were just trusting on providing good faith to people. But for the most part, like, yeah, I mean, look, I'm still excited for a lot of the indie games, and a lot of the games they announced were launch or going to be very close in that launch window. they're nowhere near like the big ones, like the Fables and
no,
and some of the other ones that they mentioned. Like, oh yeah, by the way, this is going to be coming out at some point.
Yeah. Yep. It was one of those moments where Fable could have been ending with a bang, like just like an enormous bang. And it started off that way when like you first hear the voice and it's like, this is Fable, holy shit. And then 30 seconds later, it kind of felt more like they ended with a fart. It was just,
yeah.
They raised us up so high to 30 seconds later, just like knock us down. That's kind of how it felt like to me. I know a lot of people are probably just like Fable. That's all I need to know. They're making Fable. But I think the problem is I've known like for 99% certainty that Playground Games is working on Fable for 2 years now. Like there's been so much smoke there that this meant nothing. This was just a CGI trailer to confirm that they're actually working on it. Whereas if it really was a Megaton moment where it's like, we didn't know this, we had no idea Fable was coming back, we had no idea Playground was working on it, this would have been fine. It would have been that end on a bang moment, but they should have known. They should have known that a lot of us hardcore mainstream, gamers knew about this already. We're almost damn sure this was a thing, and that this 30-second CGI was not going to be a big deal to us. Yeah.
They tried to act like this was a huge surprise, and it completely wasn't. Like, we were expecting it, and the only surprise thing, and like I had not felt that disappointed about getting a game announced to me since when during the Bethesda conference where they announced
Elder Scrolls,
the new Elder Scrolls,
yeah, man,
and they announced Starfield.
That's what it felt like. Yep.
It was like, yeah, it's just like, hey,
how far away are these?
Don't even bother showing me the CG trailer. Just tell me, by the way, we're working on this.
Yeah.
And I would have been
with how strong the rumors were of Playground working on Fable, that is something that they only should have revealed when they had an awesome set piece demo, amazing vertical slice ready to go. That is how that game should have been revealed. Without a doubt.
100%.
And now that the rumors going around, I said MMO will come back. Now that the rumors are coming about that this is going to be MMO, I was asking if you thought Destiny was an MMO, because that's what I think it's going to be when these guys are saying it's MMO-like. It's probably going to be games as a service, Destiny, MMO-like, which isn't as devastating as if it were to be like old school 2004 World of Warcraft MMO. I would have been devastated by that. I still am a little disappointed. Like, I don't want Fable to be games as a service. I wanted this to be what I've always heard Fable is going to be. Single player, choose your character, build him or her up to be the hero or the villain, and change the world. That's kind of like what I always thought Fable was, and I liked that concept, and I was excited to finally jump in on that. But just by the very nature of it being like Destiny MMO, it kind of removes that feeling a little bit. Even if each player is kind of going on that quest, it being you are that person in the original 3 games.
It becomes insignificant when there's when there's like a million other people who are also having the same experience. It's like, oh, well, you're the chosen one.
I'm trying to remain optimistic. I think there's a way that they can make it really, really cool. Mike had a really good idea about how they could approach it on our Discord. You guys can check that out. He's trying to think of ways that it could be what he wants it to be. And if it goes in the direction he speculated on, I was like, yeah, that could work. That could be pretty cool. But it's still, again, it was like after the show, it felt like there was just like a lot of news coming out that was putting even more of like a damper on this event, whether it be Halo not having multiplayer at launch, which might be debunked. Ray tracing not coming at launch. Oh, Fable, that's actually an MMO. Like things just kind of were coming out gradually after the show that were taking even more away from it. I think that now that we're at the end of this, I do want to sort of discuss it as a whole. But before I do that, let's go to a quick commercial break. I got to go to the bathroom. Then we can come back and we can jump into like, what does this mean for Xbox? Was this a bomb, as some of you have said in the chat? We'll get into that in a moment. Right now, let's go to commercial break. Hold on tight. X1 Bros. We'll be back in approximately, let's go with 2 minutes on this one, guys. Welcome back, Level Uppers, to the Level Up Show, episode 296. This is a gaming dedicated talk show on Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I should say every other Sunday. That's what we're trying to go with now. here on twitch.tv/levelupshow. So hit that follow button if you're new, turn notifications, make sure you get those alerts when I go live Wednesdays with Variety Gaming and Sundays with either Variety Gaming or talk shows. Tom, I just heard you come back. How you doing, man?
Hello.
Welcome back from your bathroom break as well. We needed a moment there to also digest everything, you know, like everything we just discussed. I'm going to put this in the chat for you guys as a poll. I want to know, what do you guys think was the best reveal, trailer, announcement, whatever you want to call it, from the Xbox Game Showcase? And I'm going to go to you as well, Tom, on that one. What was the best moment of this event?
It's Medium. Medium, I think, is the most intriguing game that actually showed some gameplay, very limited, but it was the one game that was, to me, the fact that it was original, that, and I'm a big survival horror guy, so that on top of it was big for me. So look, I'm very excited for it. I'm looking forward to playing it whenever it comes out. It's completely up my alley, and I will stream that 100%. Like, that's going to be a great game for me to stream.
Yeah, I will definitely try and get that one. That's one that I think would be a great streaming game. I'm with you there. I think the announcement that got me the most, I don't know if I would say excited, but it was most like, oh, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on that one, was Avowed. Avowed was the one where I would like to finally get into that style of game, because Elder Scrolls, honestly, I tried Skyrim recently. It didn't do it for me. I was so late to the party. I think I came in too late. I missed the boat. But I did love Oblivion way back. That was the last time that I ever got into like a high fantasy Western RPG, was Oblivion. But God, what was Oblivion? 2006? So it's been like 15 years. Like, I'm ready to jump back into that atmosphere and that genre in that way. And maybe Avowed will be it, since it seems like PlayStation, for some reason, doesn't want to pursue that style of game. So that was definitely one of them, Avowed. Otherwise, Medium was pretty high up there for me. I'm still excited for Halo Infinite. I want to be excited for that game, even though I thought it was a disappointing showing. Everwild is on my radar, but it's super, super far away. And those are, and I did like Psychonauts too, as a new gameplay trailer. Those were the kind of the ones that stood out at me, I would say. Fable will be on my radar, of course, but come on, it was a 30-second CGI teaser, so.
Psychonauts definitely gets up there for me. Look, my qualifications for what would be the game of the show has to be consistently something that actually showed gameplay, that seems like it's going to be coming out within the near future and not the distant future of 2 or 3 years from now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Halo for me, just, it's not so much that it was a disappointment, but or just like completely terrible in any way, but it just did not really resonate with me as much.
I would say it was a disappointment. It was a disappointment, but it wasn't terrible. And by no means was it terrible. I think that it didn't live up to what Halo Infinite has been built up to be. And maybe it will be that. It's just, it wasn't a good showing, maybe. I'm going to still remain optimistic about that game. I still think that it's too important to Microsoft for them to drop the ball on Halo. I think they dropped the ball on it here, but I don't think they'll drop the ball on it come Xbox Series X launch. They can't. They cannot drop the ball on the most important franchise of Xbox at launch. They just cannot.
No, there will be hell to pay if they drop the ball on that. I'm talking specifically with stakeholders and in that respect, not with amongst the fans. The fans are a whole different situation, but business wise, yes, they cannot drop the ball on Halo.
You guys in the chat, Tide voted between gameplay, Avowed, and Other. So I'm actually curious what Other would be. If you voted for Other, let me know in chat what that was. I'm not surprised that Halo Infinite and Avowed were the two. I'm a little surprised that Fable didn't maybe tie with those as well. Even though it was 30 seconds, I know that that is a franchise that is 10 years in, the making, 10 years overdue. So just a lot of excitement for it just by that alone, brings in the votes, I would think. But let's talk about the conference as a whole, the event as a whole. I guess we shouldn't call it a conference anymore. I think, as I said earlier, I do think this was a drop ball moment for Microsoft, especially considering that they started the year so strong, where it was the complete flip of this, where everybody's like, where's PlayStation? They're not talking about anything. The marketing, everything they're saying, Phil Spencer is saying, is what I want to hear. Xbox is killing it. And now it feels like it's flipped entirely, just so quickly, just like that. PlayStation event, now Xbox event. It feels like it's flipped, where it's like the messaging is getting muddled by Phil Spencer and Xbox, where they were saying that everything is going to come to previous consoles, but half the stuff they showed at this event isn't coming to Xbox One X and S. You know, it was a little bit of a mess up in that regard. But even ignoring that, I think my main problem with this, as I brought up at the very beginning, is I don't feel like they are advertising the next generation. They are advertising Game Pass, and that is fine if that's the case, because Game Pass is huge for them and it is their future. They are putting so much stake into Game Pass. They want it to be what separates them from PlayStation and Nintendo, and it very well might be someday. But when you have an event that is targeted at revealing your next console and it's called the Xbox Games Showcase, not the Xbox Game Pass Showcase, we went into it expecting games that are coming out in the next year or two with gameplay that we can be really excited about, and with graphics that are, you know, representative of 12.2 teraflops and a generational transition. That is what personally I was expecting. And given the context of everything leading up to this event, I can't really give this anywhere higher than right middle down the road 5 out of 10. It was fine. It was serviceable, but I wouldn't say it was good. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It's as we kept saying, it's completely unfair to say that this was a disaster.
No, it wasn't a disaster. No,
far from it. It's look. Again, as we said at the top of this, the fact that this is essentially this would have been their E3 moment before them leading into a new console generation. The entirety of this conference felt like, as you just said, you're advertising Game Pass, and maybe, I don't know if Microsoft is going to look back on it and just be like, maybe we should have just gone fully down the Game Pass route. That should have been our maybe that should have been our way, and maybe we should.
Do you mean like go third party in a way?
Just became like a new Steam.
Basically, I gotta say, I agree. Like, I'm glad that they're still doing consoles, but everything they're showing right now just makes me question why. Honestly, it feels like Game Pass is such a wonderful service and it has so much potential for growth that it's like, why even do a new console?
The Series X already looks like it's a gaming PC. Just make a gaming PC, and then have that be be a better Stadia.
Yeah,
that's all you really needed to be. Like, as I look at it, and I've been thinking about it for the past couple of hours, and obviously before when this actually first came out, and then I thought about it all through my rewatch of the conference. I just kept looking at it, and I'm like, why are you even bothering with a console? As we said, like, the entirety of this catalog feels like I can play it on my PC right now. It might not be, it might not have the teraflops and everything else that you would want, that the console is going to be specifically designed to provide you on your 4K monitor or 4K TV. In that case, then just make a gaming PC and then still have Game Pass. You don't need to have you don't need to have an entire console or market it as a console.
Yep.
In that respect. So
I do think we need to take a moment and acknowledge Game Pass again, though. Like, every single game that was revealed here, shown again here, will be there day one on Game Pass. A service that you can get for $1 the first month and $15 a month, I believe, following that. Like, that is an amazing, amazing deal. A lot of people ask if it's sustainable. I don't know. I think that the other shoe will drop eventually, and we'll find out a little bit more about what's going on right now in the long game that they're playing. Does it really matter on our end as gamers? No. Enjoy it. Enjoy the hell out of what Game Pass is providing you right now. I think something that we need to keep in mind, though, about Game Pass, and I'm not trying to play the negative Nancy here, because I think a lot of people will be totally fine with this. It's just my feelings on it. My personal feelings here that I'm talking about. Game Pass is not just going to change the way games are delivered. It is going to change the way games are designed. And I think we're already seeing that, actually, with Xbox. I think we're especially going to see it 3 to 5 years down the line. This is a long game they're playing. 5 years from now, I think you're going to see, if you are a fan of what PlayStation does with The Last of Us, with Horizon Zero Dawn, with Detroit Become Human even, with real high production value, AAA, single player, mostly linear titles, Game Pass is not going to give that to you. Because what they are going to pad Game Pass out with, as I mentioned earlier, are B-tier level, versions of that. And I'm not saying bad game. I'm just saying lower budget. It's going to be lower budget, indie style versions of that. And everything that is their tentpole AAA first party is going to have some semblance of games as a service built into it. Because that, in my mind, I could be wrong on this, I'm just speculating here, in my mind, that seems like the only way that Game Pass is viable. Because you've got to keep these people in. You can't let them be me, where I subscribed to Game Pass for 1 month, played Ori, loved it, and canceled. They will lose so much money if that happens. And let's be honest here. In the same way as PlayStation and Nintendo, they are not pro-consumer the way you're saying. They are pro-money. They want your money. They are not your friend. PlayStation is not your friend. Nintendo is not your friend. As long as you are providing the almighty dollar, they are your friend. But if that doesn't happen, if that doesn't happen, everything will change. Game Pass will change. If it's not working for them, they will not do it this way. If it is working for them, they won't be the only ones to do it. You will see Ubisoft. You will see Activision. You will see EA doing the same thing because they all want the dollar. And if that happens, fragmentation happens and everything changes. Design of game is going to change massively. And I think we need to keep that in mind, that they're doing this because they think someday they're going to make more money off of this than they would if it wasn't there. Right now, I believe they are taking a loss. I am very sure of that. I don't care what is being said out there. They are willing to take a loss on Game Pass right now because they see the trajectory. They see what it can become for them someday. But it means that game design has to change, at least internally on a first party level. It has to change to support what Game Pass is becoming and keeping people subscribed to that system. And I don't like that. That's not for me. That's fine if it's for you. I don't want games as a service. It doesn't. When I hear that, I'm almost immediately check out. So that's just me. What about you, Tom? I'm curious what you think.
Look, here's the thing. You and I are roughly around the same age.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids now and a wife.
Yep.
I have I had a full-time job, but let's just say I'm still working full-time. If I was in college or if I was in high school and I had all the time in the world on certain days devote to games as a service, to play MMOs. I have friends of mine who are constantly badgering me to play Final Fantasy XIV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the time with all the other games that I want to play and all the other single player experiences that I want to play between Resident Evil 3, Last of Us 2. I have a bunch of stuff in my backlog that I still need to get to. But it's all of them are single. Ni no Kuni 2, I still haven't played. Like, I don't have time to devote a single second of my time to do daily missions, weekly missions, and everything else to get the most bang out of my buck to when I pay for a season pass. Look, Call of Duty, for instance, when they instituted their season pass, and the same thing with Fortnite, because Fortnite was one of the leaders on this games as a service idea in their battle pass thing, because a lot of people were able to suck down the idea of a battle pass as opposed to constantly having to pay for maps or microtransactions, just paying for the content that you want, the piecemeal wise. Because the idea is, and the illusion that it gives, is if I manage to max out my battle pass for the $10 that I give them up front, I can theoretically continue to get each and every single battle pass and everything else after that per season by just accruing the in-game money through the battle pass. Currently, we're on season 4 of Call of Duty. I have only invested $10 because I lost like hours at a time collecting enough money to buy the next battle pass without me actually having to pay real money. I used the Call of Duty fun bucks.
Yeah.
But they're counting on the fact that you don't have enough time to accrue their fun bucks, and you have to constantly feed them money. That is what, exactly as you were saying, that's the business model that they're going for when they're announcing that, like, for instance, Halo is going to become a games as a service.
And Fable is very likely going to be that too. Yeah.
Fable, they want people to not have enough time in their day, in their lives. And even if they do have that time, then they can go ahead and point it to their investors and see, look, this is the average of, look how much our gamers are playing our game because they love it so much. And because they love it so much, they're going to be spending more money on it. Well, that's not necessarily true, but the people who love the game but want to keep playing it because some of their friends are really big on it and they want to keep continuing to play with them and get the new stuff, they're going to keep dumping money into this thing. So that original $60 game that you would have paid for, and I'm sure Halo's still going to be it, Fable's probably still going to be the same way. I can't imagine they're going to go free to play. But, but it's the same thing with like Crossfire, for instance.
Yeah.
Crossfire is going to be free to play.
Right.
But the campaign you're going to have to pay for. That was one of the things that they noted in that. So the campaign is separate, but the actual multiplayer, the thing that people are going to continually play, that's free to play, but they're going to sell you a battle pass. Yeah. And they're going to expect that you're going to drop at least probably 30 to 40 bucks on that in and of itself. So they're going to find ways to bleed the money out of you. They're going to pretend like, oh, well, we're giving you a real sick deal by giving you all these free maps and free weapons and new cosmetics and everything. We'll give you some stuff for free, but the good stuff is locked behind the battle pass, and you need to dump 100 hours into it in order to get the best value out of it.
And if you can do that, that's awesome. But I'm exactly like you. Like, you guys saw it. It took me 2 months to finish 7 Remake. It took me pretty much 2 months to finish The Last of Us. It'll probably take me 2 months to finish Ghost of Tsushima. It's getting to that point now where I play like 5 to 6 games a year. And for that reason, Game Pass makes no sense for somebody like me. It just doesn't. That's great if you have that kind of time. I just do not. I think there's other, obvious pros to Game Pass, the discounts you get if you do want to buy a game, for example. There's some great things about Game Pass other than just the delivery of these games day one. That's just one aspect of it. Game Pass is something that PlayStation is going to have to emulate gradually in some way, shape, or form. I'm not saying they're going to start delivering games day one from their first party studios. I don't think that will ever happen, honestly, on PlayStation. But I do think you're going to see more and more that PS Now gets their first party titles at a very consistent date after, where it's like, is it 1 year? Is it 1.5 years? Is it 2 years? I don't know, but it's going to be one of those things where, hey, 1 year after God of War 2 comes out on PS5, it will be on PS Now. Maybe it's 2 years. We'll have to wait and see. But it's scary to me what effect it might have even on PlayStation with Game Pass. Because if it is such a win, as I said, everybody's just got to kind of follow suit. And I don't really want it to change gaming into that direction too heavily. Because I do think I'll lose out on a lot of experiences that I appreciate. And I'm not saying I'm like negative on Game Pass as a result of that, but it does make me a little bit wary, I guess you could say, about a potential
One
future.
thing I will say to that point, and to put you a little bit at ease, is that I think Sony, recognizes what has been making them money and what gets them acclaim. Mm-hmm. And what's been getting them acclaim as of late has been your Horizon Zero Dawns, your God of Wars, and games of that nature. It's part of the reason why they were so gung-ho on making sure that they had the exclusivity with FF7. I mean, they understand that people now view PlayStation as the place to be if I want like a true single player like narrative experience. And I think that they understand that with their partner studios, certainly with now Kojima Productions, like what they were showing even before with Capcom. Capcom had that game with the space dude.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine not being anything other than a single player game. Yeah. So even the third party studios, I think even those studios who want to do something where it's going to be a single player experience, they're going to gravitate more toward PlayStation because I think people will go to PlayStation understanding that this is the place for those types of games.
Right, it's going to make an interesting divide,
JRPGs,
and I saw
stuff like that.
An article recently about how like the console wars are over because they are just going in such wildly different directions now.
Right.
Or it's like they just have a different strategy and a different future at this point where you can't really compare the two of them anymore. And I
or
see
even
X1
the three
Bros,
of them if you want to throw in Nintendo as well
100%.
into that conversation.
X1 Pro says, I think that's an excellent analysis, but I think that illustrates the need for Game Pass to have those big AAA single-player titles to get and keep gamers like you. Remember, we didn't see all their new game studios. Willing to bet those studios are working on single-player AAA games. I think they have to have the Sony-like AAA single-player games to succeed. I really, really hope so. I think that you're going to see those big AAA titles, single-player, here and now in the next 3 years. But my fear, I guess you could say, as myself, I'm not saying this to everybody, is that 5 years down the line, when Game Pass has finished its long game, that is when you'll start to see them start gravitating away from the single player AAA games that don't keep people, hooked for the whole entire year. They're going to want to really focus on the games as a service, which will keep people there every single month, because Game Pass is going to become their greatest moneymaker. I don't think it's any surprise at all right now that they have not shared any revenue numbers on Game Pass. There's a reason for that. They're not sharing revenue on Game Pass for a reason. It is not to that point yet that they want to. It will get there if they continue down this trajectory and it keeps succeeding in the way that it is and bringing new people in. I bet you they're getting close to 15 million now. 10 million was the last number they revealed. I would be surprised if they aren't getting close to 15 at this point, which is huge numbers. If they can just continue with that growth, then yeah, this is going to dominate, and it's going to be really what Xbox is. It's going to be Xbox Game Pass. This is why I am in the Xbox ecosystem. It's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be just fascinating to watch.
It is. It's going to be interesting specifically with how is it going to, especially figure in with guys like you and me, because you just specifically mentioned how you spent the $1 to play Ori.
Yeah.
For
I actually didn't even spend the $1.
Like, how many?
I got it free. I had 3 months of Game Pass for free because Xbox gave 3 months for free. And then Discord gave partners 3 months for free. I had 6 months of Game Pass for free. And then I canceled right after. It's like,
oh, that's awesome.
My God, dude. Like, you were, I mean, thank you. But holy shit, Microsoft, you are just giving me so much content right now. And
but the point,
it's crazy.
Point that I'm trying to make is like it's going to be in the same kind of vein as, say, like what people do with HBO or what they did when Game of Thrones was still all the rage. People would pay for 1 month of HBO just so they could binge or just watch all of Game of Thrones. The same thing happened with Disney Plus. People bought Disney Plus right out the gate so they could watch The Mandalorian. And then as soon as The Mandalorian was done, people cancel their subscription, and they just figure, well, I'm going to re-up when the next thing is that I want to play.
That's the thing they got to avoid. I'm sure all of them are that way. Like, how do we keep people in here every single month? That's the game.
And the only answer to that is having games as a service.
Yeah, I mean, can they get away with one games as a service being the one that keeps everybody in? Maybe.
Well, it's not going to be one. They're going to offer multiple.
No, without a doubt they're going to. I'm just asking the question, could they do it? Could they have Halo Infinite be their games as a service, and it's so unbelievably huge that that's the only one they need? I guess it's a possibility. I just think it's unlikely.
I mean, there's people who really, really love Halo. I mean, Halo for some people is a way of life. So I wouldn't doubt that there is that potential, but you're going to see a lot of those same people also be like, all right, well, what am I going to do with my time? Am I going to spend it all on playing nothing but Halo every single day of my life? Or am I also going to play the new Breath of the Wild or say the new Horizon game or something of that nature? It's like, all right, well, choose at some point. And then how much am I really getting out of my Game Pass subscription if I'm also doing all this other stuff with Halo? It's all going to be very interesting to watch, as you've mentioned. I'm certainly as a observer, like, really looking forward to seeing how it plays out.
Yeah.
But
I love this stuff. If you want to call it the console wars, that's fine. I don't love it because of like the drama
I don't
and
think
like
it's
the
the
fighting with each
console
other.
wars.
It's just it's the battle. It's interesting to watch the directions each of them go in and how it plays out and how they react to each other and what it means for us as gamers, because competition is a great thing. So
to me, Drew, it's not console wars. To me, it's interesting in seeing it as the business of gaming.
It is. It's exactly what it is. It's just called the console
watching
wars,
and
right?
seeing how they're going to manage to do it. Like people try to call it the console wars, but I think console wars is strictly fandom based.
Yes,
this
100%.
is specifically now us looking at it and a business perspective, and how are they going to make money off of this thing?
Yep.
Because as you said, they're clearly operating at a loss, because most of these services, whether it's streaming movies or WWE Network or anything else, you're always losing money at the top of it until you reach a certain user base threshold and you're able to retain those people. That's when you start making your money off of that thing.
Yep.
I don't know if Xbox is there yet with Game Pass. As many people as you've already mentioned,
they're not there
that are
yet,
still
no.
using it.
They're not
But
there.
how
I mean,
many
like I
more
said,
are they
it's a
gonna get
long
when
ass game they're
yeah.
playing here. They're not there yet, but I mean, they're experiencing some crazy growth with that service. So
And because
I don't
they
doubt that
because
they're
they
gonna
have
get
the
there.
backing of Microsoft, they can handle the
Yes,
lose.
that's the thing
they
is
can
nobody
handle
else
the
can
lose
do
off of
this really besides Microsoft.
Yeah.
Nobody could lose what I imagine they're losing for this amount of time if you're not Microsoft. Otherwise, other ones would be doing it. I really, honestly, if they were making a shit ton of money off of this and everybody knew like this is the future, you would see other people doing it to the extent that Microsoft is doing it. The fact that it's not happening means that it either isn't profitable or that it's too long of a game and a loss to take that risk. So, but it's great that Microsoft is able to do it, because even if, you know, it's not truly pro-consumer on their end because it's just all about the dollar in the end, it's pro-consumer right now for us because we're experiencing all the benefits of it. That's all that matters. And all, you know, in our perspective, who gives a shit if they're losing money? Or if they make a shit ton of money 5 years from now, as long as, you know,
right.
it
means absolutely nothing to me.
No.
It's not like I have like Microsoft stock that I'm super worried about.
Right. If you have a stock in Microsoft, I guess maybe it'll matter to you, but I don't think too many of us do. So
there's more than enough stuff that goes on in Microsoft where they're not solely living on there. Not like Sony is. Sony is very much dependent, I think, on their gaming division. Microsoft is very much not dependent on Xbox doing well. They have more than enough stuff going on their own end.
Yep. Oh, there you have it. Xbox Game Showcase. They're gonna have another event next month, I believe, in August. So will PlayStation. So it's gonna be another interesting back and forth once again to see, you know, if the conversation changes and flips one more time. Maybe we finally get the price and the release date and the launch lineup and the UI. Like, do we think we're getting all of that next month, Tom?
I certainly hope so at some point, because
I think
we're
so.
starting to run out of time here. Within this week,
game
we're
of
gonna
chicken's
hit
gone on
August.
long enough. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's getting a little bit frustrating. I really hope that August is finally the month. Let's skip that commercial break since we did it earlier, and let's do a quick spiel, Druckmann, since we do have 50 people in the room, and I think some of you are new here. Great to have you. Once again, thank you so much to BK Gamer and Extreme Gamer SB for the follows tonight. And anybody else here that is new, that is enjoying the stream and enjoying the discussion, hit that follow button here at twitch.tv/levelup show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get alerts whenever I go live Wednesdays with Variety Gaming and Sundays either with Variety Gaming or this here talk show, the Level Up Show. Also, we've got Tom as a special guest tonight joining me. He is also a streamer trying to make affiliate. Jersey_Tom in the chat. Click on his name. Go to his channel, give him that follow at the least so you can check out one of his streams and see what he's all about. We're trying to get him to affiliate as soon as possible. And on top of that, if you guys want to go above and beyond, of course, it means a lot to me. I'm a part-time streamer. If you want to go above and beyond and hit that sub button or cheer or whatever, we do have some things to show support to those that support us. You will get extension on the stream timer, which you can't see right now, but we've had 3 minutes of extension so far. Another 57 minutes of extension can be added onto the stream that we will use for marbles on stream if you guys sub, tip, or cheer. And on top of that, if you sub, tip, or cheer anything worth $5 or more, you will get a spin of what we call the prize wheel. We'll give XP to the room, and you guys can use that XP for some goofy, funny shit. All right. With that all being said, guys, thank you so much for all the support in the chat. You guys are nice. Hatton, thank you. X1 Bro says it feels like chicken. It feels like both Sony and Xbox are holding back, waiting for the other to blink first. It's obnoxious at this point how long it's gone on. X1 Pros, it just needs to end. They need to rip off the band-aid and get it done. Like they're both gonna be like $500. Like, oh, come on, they're all good. They're gonna both be in that range. Just do it. We know it's maybe.
The question is which one of them's gonna hit the 6.
Do you think either of them? I don't think either of them does.
$599.
Let's talk about this for a sec since we're on it. I think that the higher end tier of PlayStation is 500, and it's a question of how much they want to lose on the lower tier. Do they do 400? I actually think it's a possibility. The digital only could be 400. They would be taking a loss, but will they make that up in digital only sales? Maybe. 450 is probably the more likely scenario for the digital only. Xbox, I'm expecting $500 for the Series X, and the Series S or the Lockhart, I think is going to be anywhere from 300 to 350. Is kind of my guess. What about you?
I certainly hope so, man. There's a big part of me that feels like that disk drive version is going to be $599 of the PS5.
Really? Okay.
There's a big part of me that I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong.
I hope you're wrong too, man.
Trust me, I don't want to drop $600 on a new
I will
console,
drop 600,
especially in this environment. I will. I'm going to inevitably do it because I am a slave to this.
Really, the only reason I can do that though is because of you guys, that support the stream. That's one of the reasons I have the funds to devote towards the gaming stuff. So thank you, everybody.
And
for
I also
the stream.
don't have 2 kids and a wife, so
yeah.
So I don't have quite the financial obligations that you have, Drew. So I can afford to splurge a little bit on myself a little bit.
I think
but
that
even then,
COVID is an interesting beast because I think that even though us as consumers maybe don't have the funds that we would normally have because of COVID, I think that gaming has hit such a huge surge as a result of it that the Xboxes and the Nintendos and the PlayStations are going to take advantage of that come console launch. And I think they're going to know that even with producing 10 million consoles, which is PlayStation now trying to do by, I think, the end of this fiscal year, they might sell out all of those at $500. So do they take advantage of that, or do they put it at 600 and say, hey, it'll still come close to selling out and then we'll drop it later. It's not that big a deal. But the old adage used to be first to 10 million wins, right? And it's kind of funny that 10 million is what PlayStation is producing. Could they sell every single one of those this fiscal year? If they price it at 500, I actually think they could. With COVID going on and everybody stuck at home, I think they could.
100%. If they manage to price it at 500, those 10 million are gone, and you're not going to be able to find PlayStation 5s in stores. Yeah, and there's going to be a log jam waiting for it, much like there was with several other consoles within recent memory through their launches, like the Wii, or even Switches when COVID happened. Like you couldn't find a Switch anywhere because they were all getting bought up. But 100%, if it's 500. That 10 million is moving, and you're not going to have to worry about it. It's 600.
It'll still do really well.
Becomes a very interesting. It's going to do very well, but I'm thinking you will see. I don't know. I can't put a number on it and say you're going to move 5 million or you're going to move 7.5.
I think that's what you do. Honestly, I think it's half of what you would if it's 500. I think you do 5 million instead. Honestly, yeah, that's kind of what I think.
Yeah, you think it's caught right there. You think, all right.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I think that it shows that they're not trying to do a manufactured shortage. They're trying to deliver on demand. And I feel like if they are trying to manufacture 10 million this year, it means they think they're going to come close to selling 10 million this year. And I don't think they could sell 10 million or even close to that at 600. That's what makes me think it's going to be 500.
Yeah, I would hope that they're not that cynical to just believe, well, we're PlayStation. People are
arrogant Sony's back.
That's what they did with. That's what they felt like they did with PS3.
Well, that is what they did. That is 100% what they did with PS3.
Yeah.
But PS3 was 14 years ago, and it was $600 14 years ago. $600 now, as much as I think we want to deny it, is a lot different than $600 in 2006. I mean, inflation is a thing, guys. We can't have $60 games and $400 consoles forever. It's going to change eventually. We gotta get used to that fact, I think. Fortunately, there's so many different ways of delivering games now, and different tiers of games that, you have your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, and you might even have $70 games next generation. But I do think we need to recognize that we're being a little bit ridiculous if we expect consoles and games to stay the same price forever. Gotta be realistic. Anyway.
Right, you could be realistic. I think for me, it's specifically when we're talking about specifically in this environment where we are at right now. In a theoretical world where we have PS6 coming out, I would 100% agree. I would expect that thing to cost $600, $650, possibly pushing that far.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, with COVID, between everything else, $599 US is still like kind of that.
Yeah, there's a stigma for sure. Yep, there's a stigma.
You start pulling at your shirt a little bit, and you're like, I don't know.
Big exile, yeah. I hope it's not, but I really don't think it will be. But let's get into our discussion of the week's biggest gaming industry news. It is called the Level Update. Damn you, Tom. Taking after Mike. I know what you're doing. Let's start off with a kind of crazy story this week. Sucker Punch had a leak this week, and it was for a canceled new IP that they started production on right after infamous Second Son. It was supposed to be called Prophecy. It's an 11-minute vertical slice up on screen right now that got leaked, courtesy of, I think, of like an artist that worked on the game. It's very interesting. I don't have the whole thing up here, but you guys should check it out. Eurogamer writes, if you were curious to know what developer Sucker Punch was up to between the release of Infamous Second Son and the recent Ghost of Tsushima, then a newly discovered video reportedly featuring footage from a canceled stealth action effort known as Prophecy might just have the answer you were looking for. The newly surfaced footage features a slick-looking 11 minutes of third-person gameplay in which our hero Abel Tavora attempts to evade the local city guard through a squalid and wonderfully moody port-side location, utilizing a combination of stealth and blade-based melee combat along the way. There's a touch of how do you say that? Alchemical magic? And a couple of cinematic sequences. Whatever. And the alchemical. And the whole thing has an air of Assassin's Creed by way of Dishonored. I would agree with that. That's kind of the vibe I got. The mysterious 11-minute sequence is topped by a Sucker Punch logo and tailed by a title card revealing the work in progress and presumably now canned game to be called Prophecy, which its leaked file name suggested it had a vertical slice created by a studio sometime in 2015, around a year after Second Son's release. They should call it Sucker Son. I will say, personally, I watched this whole thing. I'm very glad they went with Ghost of Tsushima instead. This felt very derivative of Assassin's Creed. It didn't feel very inspired to me. Granted, we've had a lot of Assassin's Creed games since this was put together in 2015, so even more so now. But I don't know. It's just not the vibe I would have liked them to go after. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I said it as soon as this news came out and was posted up on the Discord. I said specifically just then, I was like, man, Sucker Punch had one hell of an Assassin's Creed they were making.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this was. It was extremely derivative. It was... Now, look, I'm not saying that a good game couldn't have come out of this. Certainly not. But the fact that you had this game and then you had this game versus Ghosts of Tsushima, you're looking at that and just being like, man, like Ghosts is a completely different experience that you could have. A different setting, feudal Japan. How often do you usually get something like that where it's not a straight up RPG?
Right.
The last game that was kind of like that, you could say, would have been Sekiro. But Sekiro was not, I wouldn't say, as realistic of what it would have been like to be a samurai, a ronin.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Feudal Japan. Yeah. I mean, you didn't usually have that. So I think they made the right choice to put this on the shelf. Like, maybe at some point, maybe they decide that they want to try to go back to this and take another look at it, or they try to do something else with this.
I think at this point, no. I think they move on from this. I don't think we ever see this. I think they made the right choice, as you were about to say. Ghost of Tsushima, I mean, God, we're going to talk about it later, the numbers on Ghost of Tsushima. Game did fantastic. I don't think this would have grabbed an audience in the same way Ghost did, because it feels so derivative of the desire
would have
for
been nowhere near these numbers in Japan if this was the game that they decided to do.
No way in hell. I wonder how often this happens, that a full year of work is put into a vertical slice and then it's just canned. You know, that's a side of the industry
or it just
that
turns
we don't
into something
hear.
else completely.
Yeah, or it turns into something else completely. Because you can see remnants of this in Ghost of Tsushima. You can. They didn't just scrap everything that they did here and never utilize it again. I do feel some of that in Ghost of Tsushima. But I would like to know a little bit more about that side of things.
It's the old story of how like Devil May Cry came about. Because Devil May Cry was originally Resident Evil 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just decided, all right, well, we have all these assets anyway. We're just going to make this a completely different game.
Right.
So I think that happens a lot where they stumble upon these other ideas and they're like, well, this isn't really what we want to go with for this other project that we're working on, but we'll just turn it into something else. I think it happens a lot. And I think this, as we'll talk about, soon coming up as well, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the development cycle of games where, we're not privy to. But, the fact that now we're privy to this, like, I think it's a fun little thing for us to be able to, like, look behind the curtain and see, like, what was going on in somebody's mindset.
I mean, leaks are happening
we got something else.
more and more often at this point. It just feels like it's left and right that we're hearing about these behind-the-scenes stories and things happening for better and for worse.
Update your passwords, friends.
Yeah, it's so we might see this side of the industry more and more as time goes on and these leaks become more and more frequent. And it's cool for us to see, but it's also, I'm sure they were disappointed that this happened, because what if they did want to go back to this someday? This is not the way they wanted it revealed. I don't think that's going to happen.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is all proprietary IP information. And if somebody else wanted to take this idea, they could totally do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it would be quote unquote legally distinct, but it could essentially still just be this.
Right.
As much as this game itself is derivative.
Moving on from that, let's get back to Game Pass. Why don't you take the next story there, Tom?
Oh, let me go
if
ahead
you can
and pull up
on
here.
The agenda.
No, I have it. I have it right here.
Yeah, story B.
Yeah, it's B. So, Xbox Game Pass will not appear on other consoles. Phil Spencer said, the thing about other gaming console platforms is we're not able to bring a full Xbox experience on those platforms. In places where we have brought Xbox, like mobile phones, like we're doing now with Project X Cloud, with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, what we've done with PC, with bringing our full Xbox experience there, we know when somebody is playing one of our Xbox games, there's an expectation that we've got their Xbox Live community. They have their achievements. Game Pass is an option for me. My first-party library is completely there. The other competitive platforms really aren't interested in having a full Xbox experience on their hardware. But for us, we want to be where gamers want to be, and that's the path that we're on.
Yeah.
Now, this makes complete sense to me because
I agree.
If you are Xbox, why are you trying to put your stuff? That was honestly, this was a big to do when it seemed like Xbox and Nintendo were starting to play with each other.
That was about a year ago, I think. Like at this point,
yeah, they were. It seemed like they were starting to get in bed with each other, and there was a lot of conversation about whether or not we would see Xbox Game Pass on the Switch. Which, in retrospect, you look at it and you're like, of course not. Why would Xbox go out of their way to drive people to buy a console that's not theirs? As long as they're still in the console market, it doesn't make sense for them to say experience Xbox on PlayStation 5.
If it did go in that direction, that would be truly a sign to me that Xbox is no longer about the hardware. They might as well be third party at that point.
At that point, you're Steam.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You could be that way.
That's
but
fine, yep.
Even then, if I'm looking at it on PlayStation's perspective too, or even Nintendo's perspective, why would I want to drive somebody to a different store that's not mine?
Yep. That's, I think, actually the more important this distinction is. I think even more so than Xbox maybe not wanting this on other consoles, I think there is potential for that, because I do think they see Xbox and its Game Pass and its future, and they might be gradually heading towards there not being hardware anymore, and they're like, yeah, Game Pass is our thing. I think that's a possibility, but PlayStation and Nintendo, why would they ever want it on their platform?
I don't see that at all. Even if they were getting a kickback on it,
it
doesn't make any sense, especially if you're providing some of the same third-party games. Like, why would I want you to buy a third-party game on Xbox Game Pass versus my PlayStation store that I have, where I get all the revenue from that, as opposed to like even a smaller kickback from that.
And PlayStation is developing their version of of Game Pass gradually.
Right.
It's never going to be what Game Pass is. I really don't think so. But PlayStation Now is sort of like a half measure. It's getting first-party titles later, but it's gradually adding more and more games every month. It actually has a larger library of games. I think still it might have a larger library of games than Game Pass. I think people are surprised by that, how many games are there on PS Now. I think it's just a lot of those games aren't games that people would want. But it is a big library, and I think it'll gradually grow and improve. I do wonder as time goes on how much they move in that Game Pass direction. But that's what I'm saying. If Game Pass turns out to be such a juggernaut, so great for Xbox, there's really nothing stopping PlayStation from turning PS Now fully into that. You know, why wouldn't they? If it's that great, why not just make that their version of Game Pass?
Right.
And, you know, we'll see it happen if it turns out that Game Pass is so profitable.
I think it's clear that PlayStation at least looks at their business model of, I don't want people to day one be able to play my first party games on release on PlayStation Now. Like, they realize that that's not really going to help them out in the long run. And I don't think, as I mentioned previously, I don't believe that they look at this in a perspective of that they can afford to take a massive loss on PS Now by giving out their $60 games essentially for, you know, however much money a month that you're going to be getting back. And they're going to have
Last of Us is going to sell
everything.
20 million copies. You know, why would they ever want that day one on PS Now when it's going to sell 20 million copies at $60? It makes no sense.
You're losing money for what? To one end.
Yeah. And going to what Far Center said, I would be not surprised whatsoever if the moment xCloud goes fully live, where like everybody has it, it's a part of maybe even Xbox Live or Game Pass. Once that happens, watch, you'll see. PS Now suddenly is gonna be like, oh, we can now do 1080p. You know, because right now you can download games on PS Now, just like Game Pass. And then the moment xCloud becomes a thing, PS Now will allow 1080p streaming. It's the nature of competition, you know. And so just wait for it. I bet you it happens. Moving on from that, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 confirmed to be in full development, and has been for a little while now, actually.
Shocked.
Quote, we know that everyone wants the next installment quickly. We would also like to develop it as soon as possible. Since we were able to see the line of quality from the first installment, we hope to make the next installment even better in quality that can make it for an even better experience. We would like to get it out as soon as possible, so please wait for it. I think we can clearly convey the direction when we officially announce the next installment. He also talked, this was a Famitsu interview, Nomura talked with them about various original changes, talking about 7 OG back from 1997. The interviewer asked, generally for remakes, there's those who don't want changes from the original and there's another camp who do. As the creators, did you have disputes over what to change and what not to? This was very surprising for a lot of people, his response here. He said, because the plan for the 7 remake was decided from the very start, there weren't any disputes. However, from person to person there were difference in ways of thinking. So there were instances where disputes arose as to how much should be changed. Unexpectedly, in the second half, there were many instances where I became the doorstopper. Nomura protected the original. Who would have thought that? I think everybody was like, oh, fucking Nomura with his Kingdom Hearts bullshit, changing everything in 7 Remake. And let me make it clear, I love the direction 7 Remake is going in. But anybody who doesn't pretty much accuse Nomura of being a hack and all this and that. And Nomura is the one that was trying to fight for the OG to be intact a lot of the times, it seems like. This is not the first time this has been brought up. So I think that's kind of cool. And I think Nomura is doing a really good balance so far. And I hope that can continue with part 2 whenever it comes out. He also said that he did not expect Jesse's popularity to be so high. I agree. They actually ranked all the characters from 7 Remake in Famitsu. Jesse was number 4. Like, what? Wow. Like, all the great characters. Jesse was number 4. Cloud and Tifa tied for number 1. And Aerith was number 2/3, depending on, you know, how you consider the tie. Tifa and Aerith are supposedly very close, as they should be. But Jesse has some love, and doesn't surprise me if they would bring Jesse back in some way, shape, or form in part 2. However they need to do it. I'm not going to go into detail. But if she was so popular, they'll probably try and find a way to make it work, right? You finished 7 Remake, right, Tom?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just making
I
sure.
haven't gone through my hard playthrough yet, but yes, I've beaten 7 Remake.
I just got the platinum this past week, finally.
It's you.
I did it, you guys. Not that I usually care about platinum, but I finally did it. Hamaguchi said, the president of Square Enix, we heard from the fans that they want a classic mode in normal difficulty level, so we will consider that in the future. Good news. I did hear a lot about that. I would not do classic mode because it was just way too easy. There was like no challenge whatsoever. Toriyama said Roche was scheduled to appear during the last battle, but he was removed because it spoiled the series' mood. In Chapter 14, a slum battle with Roche was planned as well, but it was abandoned because there was no way for motorbikes to run there. Because of this, the possibility of his appearance in the next installment has increased. The Avalanche hideout in the bar was removed to make the relationship between Avalanche and Cloud more distant. That might be my biggest disappointment in all of 7 Remake, is that you don't go down into hideout. Right. I get it for what they were doing for Remake. They changed how Cloud is involved. Like, clearly they don't want him to really be a part of Avalanche, so there's that distance there. So I get it, but I was like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. You're not gonna show me the basement with like the...
And narratively speaking, he needed to not be down there. Like, yes. They wanted to try and make sure that they really wanted to push this idea that he was not part of them and that he wasn't going to go on to that mission.
Right. 100%. I get why it wasn't there, but I would be lying if I wasn't a little bit peeved when we got past that moment in the game and I was like, we're not going to get the basement, are we? You sons of bitches. No, you can't do this to us.
Maybe we'll get a flashback with Tifa and Barrett, and they're like,
maybe. Oh, that would be cool.
Here we are down here, and you can actually at least see it. You might not be able to walk around it, but at least you could see it.
Yeah, it would have to be a flashback at this point, as some of us know. Sadistical going back to Game Pass.
Or maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe.
Wait a second. Yeah, you're right. Maybe. Sadistical says Xbox Game Pass is going to hurt them, Microsoft. It will cost them console sales because if you have a PC, why buy the Series X? I get what you're saying, but I don't know that Xbox cares. It's all about being a part of the ecosystem for them. So that's what I was talking about. Like, and Tom as well. Like, why even have a console at this point? Because it doesn't really matter if you're playing on PC, Xbox One S, Xbox One X, Xbox Series X. It really doesn't matter as long as you are subscribed to Game Pass, which is going to be their bread and butter 5 years from now. So at that point, why even have hardware? We'll have to wait and see if that is the trajectory.
Bold prediction, this is the last Xbox console that we're going to see. I agree.
I'm 100% with you. This is the last Xbox. Yep. Although, like, there might be like a midterm iteration or something like that. But this is the last generation of console hardware for Xbox.
Take iteration out of the equation.
Yeah.
That we are not getting. I guess it would be the 5th generation or 4th generation Xbox. No, 5th generation. We're not going to see a 5th generation Xbox.
Wait, Xbox 360, Xbox One. No. Oh yeah, this will be Xbox
Series
4.
X.
Yep.
So this would be the 4th generation. So we're not going to see a 5th generation Xbox.
I didn't get an opportunity here to thank Durock for coming in with a tier 3 sub tonight. He added 5 minutes onto the stream timer. More time for marbles after stream. Keep that in mind, guys. Subs, tips, and cheers extend the length of stream up to a full hour, called full chub, maximum extension, so that we can give you guys some marbles after the stream. So don't forget, that's the way to support us. Let's see. Did I miss anything else? You guys voted. It's in 2023. Wait. It was a tie, actually. 2023, 2024, or later, both got 2 votes. I say 2023. That's my guess. That's been my guess for a while now. What about you, Tom?
You know what? I'm going to be optimistic here because I don't think it's going to need 3 years of development time, considering the fact that a lot of the assets I feel like are ready to go for the most part. I'm going to say 2022.
Wow, even with COVID?
I'm gonna say this time next year we are going to get a trailer for part 2, whatever they're gonna call it.
I'm with you there. Even if this game's coming out in 2024, I think we get a trailer next year because that's the way Square Enix operates.
I think we're going to get a trailer and we're going to see playable Red 13.
Oh god, dude, first time I see Cosmo Canyon, I might cry.
You start hearing the set if they start off that trailer with the Cosmo Candy music, then yeah, I might lose it.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry, dude. I'm gonna freaking cry. Anyway, let's move on to the next story in the level update. Let's find out some PlayStation first party stats here. Take us away, Jersey Tom.
Stand by. Here we go. So, Ghosts of Tsushima, or Tsushima, as some people have said, debuts at 2.4 million and is the fastest selling new first-party IP for Sony Interactive Entertainment.
Congratulations, Sucker Punch. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Great job to you guys managed to do that. And honestly, probably should have seen it coming, considering the fact that it is where it's set and the setting and everything else like that, and how well
dominating in Japan. Yeah,
absolutely. More
you can go
data,
straight to the stats.
We're gonna give some more data for context, and this is sourced from our good friends over at Resetera, or Reset Era, depending on how you want to call it.
Resetera.
The Last of Us 2, or Last of Us Part 2, in 3 days sold 4 million copies. Spider-Man in 3. This is the top 3 are in 3 days. Spider-Man was 3.3 million, and God of War was 3.1 million. Ghosts.
One thing that they don't have here, I want to bring up real quick, not necessarily first party, and not necessarily to consumer. It was, I think, shipped to stores and COVID affected things. But 7 Remake did 3.5 million in 3 days. And that's not even a first party game. So 7 Remake was freaking huge. So just want to point that out there. It really was huge.
It was a massive release. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ghosts, obviously we have our 2.4 mil. Uncharted 4 shipped 2.7 in a week. Horizon Zero Dawn was 2.6 million in 2 weeks. Infamous Second Son, that was 1 million in 9 days. Bloodborne was 1 million in 12 days. Bloodborne, I'm still very confused about personally. That seemed to me like it was like the height of the Souls games at that point. So I'm still kind of surprised that maybe it was because of the fact that it was PlayStation exclusive. Maybe that's the reason, but I still would have thought that it would have sold more.
Yeah.
And then the Detroit Become Human, that was 1 million in 2 weeks.
I think for Bloodborne, it probably had legs. Horizon Zero Dawn clearly had legs because that game's numbers are huge now. 2.6 million in 2 weeks is actually kind of surprising to me. That's pretty low down there. Considering how big it is now, I think it's like their second biggest IP, maybe even. Like right behind Spider-Man and maybe behind The Last of Us. It's up there. It's very high up there. It's even higher than Uncharted 4, I know now, in its sales, considering how long it's been out. So they have a juggernaut franchise with them there, with Guerrilla. So Forbidden West is going to be absolutely massive. I can't believe The Last of Us Part 2 did 4 million in 3 days. That is insane. PlayStation first party is ridiculous at this point.
It is. It's honestly, it is what's selling those systems at this point. And it's great now because and Sony's doing the right thing, and I appreciate what they're doing now. The fact that specifically with Horizon, they're bringing that to PC. They're just going to keep making money off of that game constantly.
Yep.
And it's going to be worth every single penny.
Well. I think you're going to see other first party PlayStation games go to PC, and I think you're going to see the same timeline. I think it's going to be 2-3 years after it comes out, maybe 1 year after you get it on PS Now, 2-3 years after it goes to PC. And that's great.
Will you see The Last of Us on PC? Or Uncharted?
There are certain ones I don't think would go. I think ones that are somewhat unlikely are games like God of War and Uncharted. I think Spider-Man is incredibly unlikely because it was the first game in that franchise and it grabbed such a major audience so quickly. I don't think they're going to take any risks there with it not becoming synonymous with PlayStation, right? The other ones like God of War and Last of Us and Uncharted are already synonymous with PlayStation. You're never removing that at this point. Spider-Man, you run that risk. There's only been one game. So they need to make sure that that becomes attached to the PlayStation brand. And for that reason, I really don't see that one going. Last of Us is possible. God of War is possible. I think Ghost of Tsushima actually is a possibility, but it's got the same thing going on as Spider-Man, where it's like, do they want to turn this into a franchise? I don't know. And I think that's where the question lies. Does Ghost of Tsushima become a franchise? And if so, do they want to build that attachment to PlayStation before it goes to something like PC? Those are the questions I think that matter. So Bloodborne, I think, could definitely go to PC. I think we'll go to PC, actually.
Yeah, I think eventually it's going to have to, I think.
Yeah. Horizon Zero Dawn was only one game, but as we know now, very quickly, they knew as well that was a franchise they were building there with Horizon. So I think it's surprising to an extent that Horizon went to PC, but the other side of it is this game is now coming out on PC 3 years after it came out on console, and right before, not too long before the sequel comes out on PlayStation and not on PC. So are they taking the strategy that we're going to wait several years, then release it not too long before the sequel comes out so that we get these PC guys hooked and they have to get a PlayStation to play the next game? You know what I mean?
Right.
That could be the strategy they're taking.
And it's the fact, too, that it's going to be exclusive to a new console that you're launching. It's coming out in, like, the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because you're specifically going to move a console at the very beginning of its life cycle.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of variables here.
Yeah. This isn't like trying to move a PlayStation 4 3 years after it's been released already.
Yeah. So Discal says, I doubt it. No other Uncharted or God of War game has ever been on PC. No first-party PlayStation game really ever has been on PC. Horizon and Death Stranding, to a lesser extent because it's not truly first-party, are the representation of that movement. So I don't think we could really say that. We have to wait and see now. Like, how far does this extend, this strategy that they're taking? It's going to be interesting, and you're going to see a lot of upset fanboys over the next couple of years. Next up in the level update.
There's no reason to be upset that more people are enjoying this amazing game. And
I would be more upset if it was going day one to PC. If they were taking an Xbox approach, personally, I wouldn't like it because I think exclusives are what define a hardware, define PlayStation especially. If The Last of Us Part 3 comes out day one on PS5 and PC, that sort of diminishes the value of PlayStation in a major way to me. Like, I don't need the console really that much anymore if they go that way. So I personally wouldn't like that. I want consoles to stay around. I don't want PC to be honest, to become the thing.
That's 100% what diminished the value for me for the Xbox, because I could play Halo and I could play Gears on PC.
Yeah,
I didn't need an Xbox for that.
Yeah, and it's cool that Xbox went that way, but if PlayStation goes that way as well, consoles as a whole, it just becomes sort of meaningless. PlayStation is keeping consoles alive in the, higher level power struggle, between the two. Like, Nintendo's sort of on its own island. So sometimes I don't even consider them as a part of that war, if you want to call it that. But PlayStation right now is keeping consoles alive in the high tier technology. So I don't want that to go away. I don't want everything to just become PC. But anyway, next in the level update. I
100% agree.
G4 returns in 2021 with the level up show as its premiere.
As I speak, Drew.
The level up show coming to G4, you guys. Variety writes, after nearly 6 years sitting in mothballs, the G4 video game TV network is coming back with some kind of relaunch next year by Comcast. On Friday, the Twitter accounts of G4 TV and G4's Attack of the Show and X-Play, two popular shows on the network, both posted the same cryptic teaser video up on screen right now, captioned with, "We never stopped playing." The video culminates with the numerals 2021. A source confirmed to Variety that the relaunch of G4 is coming out of Comcast Spectacor, the company's sports and esports division, whose main businesses are the NHL's Philadelphia Flyers and the Wells Fargo Center Arena. In 2013, NBCU said it would rebrand G4 as the Esquire Network. The media company a few months later reversed course and pivoted Style Network to Esquire Network before announcing the full shutdown of G4 in November of 2014. I can't believe it's been that long. That seems crazy.
Yeah.
Adam Sessler,
it seems like a lifetime ago,
who had co-hosted G4's X-Play video game review series, responded to the reemergence of the G4 property with a tweet saying, quote, "Whoa, that's a Twitter account I didn't expect to see again." Morgan Webb, another X-Play alum, commented, "I'm just impressed someone remembered the password in the Twitter." And actress Olivia Munn, who started her career as a co-host of Attack of the Show, joined in the excitement over the resurrection of G4, tweeting, "Oh, hey now, G4 TV." So I got a question for you guys in the chat. I think we're on number 6, I believe. What poll are we on? I need to check this. Hold on a sec, guys.
Oh, boy.
We are on number 6, yeah. Number 6. Were you a G4 viewer back in the day? I was, for Attack of the Show and X-Play, man. What about you?
100%. I was. G4 was a regular thing that was on, especially even when it started, when you had things like Cinematech, I believe it was. You had like that. You had Attack of the Show, obviously. X-Play. You had what were those guys? Tommy Tellerico and what's his face?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the name.
Yeah, gosh, I can't remember why. I think it was like Electric Playground. I think it was the name of it.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah.
They also had like old school, like what was it, Starcade or whatever it was, the game show that they had. Like it was original, like Nick Arcade, like back in like the '80s, like late '80s. Like it was something like that. So the G4 was great for that purpose, and I remember I would watch specifically for new episodes to get X-Play's reviews because I trusted. For whatever reason, I put all my trust into Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb to tell me what games were good and what weren't.
Different time, man.
But you know, it was the introduction for a lot of people on what machinima was. On like that idea of like using like Gary's Mod or like trying to actually use games to make original content out of that. And I think that like gave a lot of inspiration for eventually once you hit 2005 and YouTube came up, then you know. I don't think you get a they could correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you get a red versus blue if you don't have G4 doing the same thing with MMOs.
I think you're probably right.
Because they were doing the same thing, and I
don't think you get the level up show. I don't think you get the level up show if G4 wasn't the thing. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that the level up show was inspired by things like X-Play and Attack of the Show, especially the early days of the level up show when it was a little bit more off the rails. That was clearly inspired by, you know, the absence of G4. So it's kind of funny to see it coming back. And I wonder, you know, I feel like video game talk shows right now, I feel like there's been a dwindle in them actually on Twitch. Like we definitely don't get the numbers we used to. I noticed Kind of Funny doesn't get close to the numbers they used to. Like it's funny that G4 is coming back now because it feels like the audience is actually less there now than it was 6 years ago when we started the level up show.
The thing that you can mention, at least with G4, if you're going to have the backing of an NBC Universal, you're going to have a much bigger, now, not to disparage this show or any other person's show that they have, but they're going to have a budget.
Yeah.
They're going to have things that they can do. And I think part of the reason why numbers are down specifically at this time is with COVID, like you're not having like studio space, you're not like being able to give necessarily like the production values of this show are what they are because this is the best way for us to deliver and for you specifically to deliver this show. And even before we went to the virtual set, we still used your basement set, which was a bit more of like a live studio. Right. I guess you could say in some respects, like that was an interesting way that we did it.
That's exactly why I didn't want to, like, a lot of people now, they just put the cams up on screen, right? There's just like 4 boxes. They got like the title at the top of the screen and it's just a bunch of cams. Like I didn't want to do that because the whole point of the level up show, the nature of it was that it had that talk show set, that it was trying to mimic those times. And so that's why I put so much work into designing the virtual studio, because I wouldn't be able to live with myself if it just went to, hey, Jersey Tom has his cam on screen and I got my cam on screen and we're just talking to each other. And that's not to disparage the other guys that do it that way, but it wouldn't be the level up show anymore if I did that.
And to be fair, to be completely fair in that respect, I mean, we saw it on my network because we were still doing shows at my previous network. Doing a show called Baseball Night in New York, but it was everybody at home on essentially a Zoom call, and the production value takes a nosedive because you're using crappy cams. It doesn't look nice. It looks very college-esque, like very low tier, like public access almost. It feels like.
Yeah.
So when you look at a G4 and what they're going to be able to bring to the table, we do know for a fact that it's going to be web-based. It's not going to be, you're not going to find it on terrestrial television, most likely. So you're going to see probably you're going to see streaming content, possibly live podcasts being done.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume that they're probably going to be able to have access to bringing in guests, getting exclusive interviews, getting things of that nature that they're going to be more afforded by the fact that they are backed by NBC Universal. And I think that's going to be, I think that might help drive more people to wanting to go and view a talk show, because
I was about to say the exact same thing. Is I would love if it affected us in that way, where people actually start admiring.
Not the Yes Network, by the way, Nine Fox.
Admiring not just the podcast, because going to Exoil, yes, it's the podcast that does huge for Colin and is the reason he has like 10,000 patrons or whatever the hell it is, something ridiculous like that. Let me just say again, I don't like his podcast at all. I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't really.
Same
I don't
thing
really
with
get
guys like Castle Super Beast is another big one. The Giant Bombcast.
Yep.
Guys
it's all about
like
podcasts.
that. Like,
there are not a lot of talk shows. There are not a lot of talk shows doing video game discussion like we do, or Kind of Funny does, where like they're actually like in a studio talking about video games, having guests. Like that kind of thing isn't around as much anymore, and even where it is, it's not doing as well as it used to do, at least in the numbers that I'm seeing. A lot of people listen to podcasts. A shit ton of people listen to podcasts. That hasn't changed at all. Henry DJP, thank you so much for the resub. 15 months, another minute added on to the stream timer. We're up to 4:09 now. Keep on coming, guys. Keep extending that stream timer. I also want to go back to Exoil, who was talking about Ghost real quick, and he said something about didn't try to get the game canceled for cultural appropriation. I don't know who is, but I haven't heard anything about.
I think he's trying to say Resetera.
Maybe. I'm not sure, but I never saw any backlash on Ghost of Tsushima, actually.
I think the only thing that I ever saw people give backlash to, which was kind of odd, because I remember sitting in, because I was sitting at the Union Square AMC, because they were showing that conference where they announced the game in theaters, in select theaters throughout the country. And I remember sitting there when they were doing, because it was immediately after that live presentation where Jack Trenton they had like that church thing. They went from like one set.
That was 2018. Yep.
Yeah, in 2018. So they went to the one where Ghost of Tsushima was, and they had
the white guy doing the flute,
who was doing the flute. And people were looking at that. I was like, this is very odd that like seeing this random.
It was odd. I've read up on that afterwards. Supposedly that guy's like one of
odd optics.
Yes,
but then you find out his background, and you're like, no, he is like a world-class musician.
Yes. Yeah,
like
he's like one of the only ones that mastered it.
Anybody else being up there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think once you like look into it, you realize, okay, yeah, I get it. It did look a little odd with him wearing like the whatever you want to call it,
the kimono, and the hat and the sun.
I don't want to get it wrong because I feel like I'll be offensive if I get it wrong. But it was a little odd in that moment. I will agree with that. I wish I liked Giant Bomb as much as I used to. They are just way too cynical and don't really get excited about everything. I'm with you. Yeah, Giant Bomb is. I just can't. I can't with them.
Yeah, Jeff specifically has like gotten to a point in his, and a lot of people like that. I know there's plenty of people who enjoy that. And again, this is not to disparage or say like anybody shouldn't go and support anybody else, but I know specifically Jeff too, and I have a lot of respect for him. But yes, like they all seem to be at a certain point in their lives too, where just everything kind of just like, yeah, whatever. It's a new game. Okay. Cool, I guess.
Yeah.
It's never there's no excitement for it, and I guess maybe part of that is getting older and getting more cynical. It just becomes that South Park episode where just everything sucks to stand.
Yep.
It's worth being a bit innocent and like getting hyped for something, every once in a while.
Yeah, man. We gotta bring it back. We gotta bring the positivity back. Let's end off on one more story in the level update. Take it away.
Okay, let's go ahead and scroll down there. Okay, here we go. Guess what, friends? Microsoft is no longer selling Xbox Live 12-month plans. According to IGN, Microsoft has officially stopped selling 12-month Xbox Live Gold plans, possibly hinting at a stronger focus on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, or a new service that could be on the way in time for the launch of Xbox Series X. Microsoft confirmed the change to True Achievements, stating that even though the 12-month plan is not being sold at this time, the 3-month and 1-month plans are still available for purchase. quote, at this time, Xbox has decided to remove the 12 months Xbox Live Gold SKU from the Microsoft Online Store, a Microsoft representative said. Customers can still sign up for 1 month or 3 month Xbox Live Gold subscriptions online through the Microsoft Store. Microsoft gave no further reason as to why it made this change, but earlier this week, head of Xbox Phil Spencer announced that the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members will automatically be entitled to Project X Cloud services in September 2020 at no extra cost. This means that Microsoft will phase out its Xbox Live Gold plans and put all the focus on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which includes both Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass.
So does that mean that like there's no additional cost, or like what's happening here? Is there any possibility that Xbox is actually getting rid of the paywall for online play?
Seems to me that they're getting rid of the paywall, but it's going to be with the expectation that you are also going to have Game Pass. Like, so it's still, in theoretically speaking, going to have a paywall, but I don't believe that it's going to be having two separate services. Yeah. It's just going to be one all-encompassing service is their goal, because it's exactly as you were saying. It seems like they're trying to drive more people over toward being Game Pass members.
Right.
To make that viable.
Hopefully it doesn't mean that the price raises, though.
Say again, I'm sorry?
Hopefully it doesn't mean that the price of Game Pass Ultimate raises considerably.
I mean, it seems like that's bound to happen, I think, because it's like anything else. Like, you're going to keep prices low to drive people in, and once you got them, then you're going to start driving up the price, because you know that's a service they like, that they enjoy. Like, it's bound to happen. Yeah. It did with PS Plus. I mean, that was.
But what about somebody like me that like I barely play anything online. I definitely don't play anything Xbox online. Like, what if I just want to get Ori and the Will of the whatever the next game is? You know,
Will of the Wisps.
Yeah. I mean, like the one after that, whatever the next one is. Yeah. And I have no desire to play anything online from them. Like, I'm going to be forced to pay more for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate because it includes Xbox Live Gold. I just hope that they continue to have the options. What's weird is that the 3-month passes are still there. So it's almost like right now they've forced you to spend more money a year to be an Xbox Live member, because now you have to do 4 times the increased cost, as opposed to just buying a full year at a lower cost. So it's weird.
You have to constantly re-up it quarterly, which doesn't make any sense. And it's clear what they're trying to do. They're trying to drive people to get Game Pass at that point.
Yeah.
Because then you just have it on a monthly subscription, and you just set that up as a just normal, taking that out of your paycheck, just like anything else that you would do with like Netflix or what have you.
Sure.
I'm not sure. Somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong here. I'm pretty sure that Game Pass doesn't have a year subscription option. Like, it's still going to be monthly. Right?
I'm not sure on that. I haven't looked into that.
Yeah, all I do know I haven't looked into
is if they're losing money on Game Pass now, which I'm going to assume they are, if they got rid of the revenue they're bringing in from Xbox Live Gold as well by just combining it into Game Pass with no additional cost, I truly have no idea how they're making it work. If they were to do that, it would make zero sense to me from a business perspective how that's sustainable. But if they do it, oh my God, what a megaton that would be. Absolutely massive megaton that would be.
Yeah, it would probably be the boldest thing that I think any of these companies lately would have done, if they're going to go that far into trying to force people to embrace Game Pass.
Yeah. They are in it to win it, if that's the case.
Frostbite just put something. Game Pass does have monthly subs. I just bought a year. So nice. you can buy a year of Game Pass straight up
at a lower cost.
Game Pass? Frostbite.
I'm assuming at a lower price.
Yeah, and that's the other question: is it at a lower cost, or is it still is it still at like the same cost per month?
Yeah, I guess it'd be 15 times 12, so 180 if it was still the same as the monthly cost. Will PlayStation follow along? Is the real question.
You just said yes at a reduced price. So
okay, cool. Yeah,
so then that makes sense. But again, it's like you just mentioned. If you're going to be giving Game Pass and everything that Game Pass offers, you're gonna end up losing money on that, as opposed to having both an Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Gold.
Right.
Yeah, that you are seriously taking a risk there and saying like, we're going to be able to not only just bring all of those same numbers in, but potentially get more.
Yeah,
I don't know if that audience exists. I mean, look, you potentially could get somebody like me who's going to get the version of it for PC. Because once they put it on PC, then you're immediately getting more people who are going to be interested in doing it. Because I'm not going to buy an Xbox console.
That's one thing that a lot of people don't realize is when they said 10 million subscribe to Game Pass, that's not just Xbox. There's a lot of people subscribe to Game Pass on PC as well. Pretty big audience, actually.
Yeah. And 100%. I know Denny was interested. I know there's plenty of other people who I know who swear by PlayStation who will say, yeah, man, I'm interested in doing Game Pass. Hell, I'm one of them.
I'll do it a month or here and there. Yeah, I'm still of that mind. I did it for Ori. Yeah. I'll do it for the next Ori.
And as we mentioned earlier in the show, like I'm 100% down with buying a month to play at $15 where I can play a new game that comes out that otherwise would be $60. You know?
Or they'll offer some deal again where it's $5, $10, or $1, since it seems like just every opportunity.
They do a sale, or they just give it away.
Every time I want to play something on there, it feels like I can get it for $1. It's like ridiculous. Yeah. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't get it at all. I still have no idea how it all works. But anyway, that is the level update. King Carrot asks, will PlayStation follow along with the, removing the paywall? They definitely want to do it reactionary. In that way, they would wait and see if it affected their numbers, and then maybe they would do it. If it was a huge hit to them, they might be forced to. Depends on, the risk reward, how much we're making, how much we're losing by getting rid of it or keeping it around. And yeah, it's not going to be like Xbox just got rid of the paywall next day, we're doing it too. No way that's going to happen. They're going to wait and see how things go. It might destroy Microsoft for all they know. Anyway, let's do a couple of wheel spins here before we move into another commercial break and the wrap up of the show here. We had Rock come in with a tier 3 sub. So I'm going to do 2 wheel spins of the tier 2 wheel. Bonus XP and bonus XP. 2 times the bonus XP for the next hour. Way to go, Room. Oh, and King Kurt with the test. A $1 test. Thank you for the $1, King Kurt. I'm not sure why you're testing $1. But I appreciate it. We do another bonus. That will add 30 seconds onto the stream timer, King Kurt. Who has presented this show tonight of the Level Up Show, episode 296. Let's go to the $5 wheel, and let's spin for Henry DJP coming in for that tier 1 resub of 15 months. Appreciate you, Henry. We love you, man. And the wheel says 60 to the entire room. There you go, 60 to the room, and I'm going to add 30 seconds onto the stream timer courtesy of King Kurt and his $1 today. Guys, we are going to go to a short commercial break. I will start a sub gift giveaway during that. All you have to do in the chat is type in !! sub gift if you are not yet a sub. If you are already a sub, please do not type it in because it's useless. So type in ! Sub gift during the commercial break, and when we come back, we'll reward the winner and we'll get into the wrap up of the show tonight. Hold on tight. Exoil will be back in approximately 90 seconds. Welcome back, Level Uppers, to the Level Up Show, episode 296, presented by King Kurt 757. If you guys are enjoying the stream, hit that heart button here at twitch.tv/the Level Up Show. Turn on notifications. Make sure you get those alerts whenever we go live, Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays, variety gaming. Sundays, either variety gaming or talk shows. I will be starting Ghost of Tsushima on this coming Wednesday. That'll be my first entry into that new franchise. I'm really excited for it. Seems like a lot of you guys are loving it. So that's gonna be a really fun game to stream. I know 7 Remake and Last of Us have done really, really well for the channel. We're getting tons of follows, higher viewer counts. Oh my goodness! Wait a sec.
Testing 1 2 3.
Oh my god! Another test coming in here. King Kurt coming in with a $50 tip. That is a Marballs wheel spin right there. First thing we're going to do is we're going to add 25 minutes onto the stream timer. We are going for that full chub tonight, guys. We're going.
This show is truly now presented by King Kurt 757.
Yes, he has presented it. You guys, holy shit, $51 to be exact, because he added on $1 at the beginning there too. And let's do that Marballs wheel spin right now. Let's not waste any time here. Guys, I want to give a shout out to Jersey Tom while we're doing this. He is a streamer. We're trying to get him to affiliate right now. He's the voice as I like to call him. He's talking with us right now. He joined me tonight. He's helped me out a lot.
Thick Bowser.
Yeah, so that I could have a real conversation tonight about some great stuff like the Xbox Games Showcase. So give him that follow. Go to twitch.tv/Jersey_Tom. Give him the follow. At least check out one stream of his, you guys, and help him get that affiliate status. That's what it's all about.
There'll be some real paisans to do it. Love you guys.
Yeah, you deserve it, man. What are you streaming, by the way? Just Last of Us this week?
Last of Us this week until I finally beat it, and at that point, then I'm still trying to get my hands on a copy because I'm a big physical copy guy, so I'm trying to get a physical copy of Ghost of Tsushima. But then after that, like I said, I still have Ni no Kuni 2. I still have. I was playing the Warriors for a little bit, so I might go back to that.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting collection there. I like it, man.
Dude, I have so much backlog. It's crazy.
And he says, "I'm coming through JT." I don't know what that means. I hope Vince has a better Monday. Yeah, Vince had a rough weekend. That's why he's not here tonight. So everybody wish Vince the best. Give him that follow as well. Agent Vince 475. Son of a bitch.
Thought you might miss the voice of your favorite actress.
There we go again.
And
The Rock coming in with 8 minutes and 30 seconds of extension. Mid-sentence, you son of a bitch. Let me add it on here. We're going for it, guys. We're going for that maximum extension. We got the Marballs wheel spin we're going to do first right now, and then we'll spin for Dirac as well before we get into the wrap-up of the talk show here. This one's for King Kurt. Or is it? That is not the one. That's the goal wheel. Sorry, I went to the... Well, that works too. We shattered our daily tip goal. So what was that? 650? I might have been 650. I'll do 700. You guys get 700 to the entire room.
It was it was 675. So but
I'll do 700. That's fine.
You earned it.
They deserve it. 700 to the entire room. Way to go, room. And let's go to the $50 wheel as well, the Marballs wheel. I made an executive decision and I'm getting the disc drive version. Okay, all right. I get it. I totally get it. It's going to depend on that price. If it's 400, I will go discless. If it's 450, I'll probably get the disc version. That's not enough of a discrepancy between the two.
What is your percentage chance that they're the same price?
You blew it!
No way. No way! Not to you, Jersey Tom.
There's not even a non-zero chance that that's not going to happen.
I was responding to Derek and his 4,000 biddies, and I totally missed what the marbles was there because of it. Somebody tell me what the marbles wheel spin was. 4,000 biddies from Derek?
That's a lot of biddies.
What? That is a lot of biddies, you guys. Oh my god, another 20 minutes added on the stream timer. Does that do it? Are we there? Did we hit? We did. We hit maximum extension, guys. Marbles all night long. What did the wheel say? Did anybody pay attention to what the wheel said for the marbles wheel spin?
I did not pay attention.
I didn't either. I'll give two. I'm going to do 2 more marbles wheel spins then. One to make up for the one I missed and one for Derek. Even though it's not 50, it's close enough. 2 wheel spins. First, we got Battle Royale of 2,500 XP. And on top of that, we're going to do... no, not 2 Battle Royales. You guys deserve 2 separate things. A Grand Prix of 3 races worth 5,000 XP. All right, 2,500 and 5,000 come your way. Courtesy of King Kurt, courtesy of Derek, the 9 Fox. And we're also going to go to the $10 wheel spin for Dirac and his 1666 scare tip. Fuck Drew Barrymore. Can we all agree? I think we all can agree with that, right? Tom's on my side. The silence. Okay. The silence is complicit. Dye that hair! Damn it! Dirac, you can dye my hair. Let me know. We'll do it for marbles after the stream. We'll dye my hair for marbles. Let me know the color. I think we're caught up now. I think we're good. Guys, we were shattering in support. Oh, I got to do a high points wheel spin. Goal wheel for cheer. I forgot about that one. Let's do that real quick. Another bunch of XP going to you guys. Oh, we're going blue for Dirac. All right, all right. And we're going to do 775 to the entire room. Merman as well. He wants it all.
Merman!
He wants it all. He's greedy. 775 to the entire room because we shattered the daily cheer goal. Let's get to that daily follow goal. Let's get to that daily sub goal. Let's see how far we can go tonight, guys. Share the show. We're dropping viewers. Let's see if we can get them back from marbles once we get through the final part of the stream here. And that part is focused on the smaller stories, you guys, that we have to get through every single week in a little segment we like to call Rapid Fire News Roundup. All right, guys, the Rapid Fire News Roundup. First up in the Rapid Fire News Roundup, Spider-Man Miles Morales will have a 4K 60 FPS performance mode. You heard me right. That's a performance mode, 4K 60 FPS. Digital Foundry, quote, "This is a welcome announcement. Users will be able to lean more into the CPU horsepower of the PS5 to deliver 60 FPS and will be interested to see what graphical trades were required to deliver the performance mode, especially as 4K resolution is suggested here, though lowering precision on ray tracing effects or dropping them altogether is a possibility. Whether this was an original design goal or a response to user feedback isn't clear, but ultimately, giving players the choice in how to use a PS5's power can only be a good thing." I want to know what you guys think in chat. How are you going to play Spider-Man Miles Morales? Will you do the 4K 60 FPS performance mode if it also removes ray tracing and other graphical effects are turned off? Or will you do the graphics mode if that is 4K 30, but it has ray tracing and has enhanced graphical effects? What about you, Tom? What are you going to go with?
If you're going to get me up to 60, I'm going to go with the 60.
Okay.
100%.
Even if they get rid of ray tracing, even if there are other graphical effects that are turned off?
I would prefer, because the biggest draw for me with Spider-Man is being able to seamlessly swing through that city and being able to go in. The fluidity of combat and everything else for me is extremely important. For me, I will take the gameplay over the visual every single time in this specific instance.
Okay. I get it. Spider-Man is one of those games that is going to really benefit from 60 FPS. 100%. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. I feel like it changes with every game that has that selection between performance and graphical modes. It really depends. It's never consistent for me. So I know, for instance, like if 7 Remake had a 60 FPS mode, I probably would stick with 30 FPS actually with that game.
For that game specifically, yes, I would, because the fluidity is not necessarily as big of an issue so much as being able to take in the pure grandeur of that game, visually speaking.
Right. And that game already has some issues, inconsistencies in the graphical prowess. So I think that, raising it to 60 would just lower that even further and make it even more inconsistent. So I would not want that trade-off with that specific game. But then Spider-Man, I'm going to have to wait and see. I don't know yet what I'm going to do. But moving on from that, Call of Duty is going to be called Black Ops CIA for the 2020 version, of course. Games Radar writes, "The Call of Duty 2020 mystery tied into the Red Door sightings has taken another turn, with some players reportedly being able to boot up the enigmatic demo. The Red Door has shown up on both the Microsoft Store and on PlayStation Network in recent weeks." Put it up on full screen for you guys so you can see it. In the latter case, with a content ID tag of COD 2020 Int Alpha 1. Screenshots are now circulating from Call of Duty fans who claim they've been able to download and start the Red Door, revealing both the title screen and a potential new development codename, Call of Duty Black Ops CIA. The Red Door will reportedly load to the point of a title screen showing the title Call of Duty Black Ops in front of the seal of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. Here and various redacted records in the background. After that, the game will stop and ask you to either insert a disc or log in with an account that has the rights for playing it. Are you interested in this year's Call of Duty game, Tom?
I am interested. And by the way, there is new news with this story.
Tell me.
It has come out that the actual title has been leaked thanks to a Doritos bag being leaked that was going to be part of a promotion with the game being released. And the actual title, I believe, that is leaked is now going to be Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War.
Oh, it is going to be called Cold War. There was a lot of rumors surrounding that for a while.
Cold War. It will not be called CIA. It will be called Cold War. And this is based on a leaked image of a Doritos bag. which is the
Insane.
perfect ideal way for this to be done. The only way it would be more perfect is if it was a bottle of Code Red.
Yep. 100% agree with that as well.
but I am interested in this year's Call of Duty. I am. I mean, the Black Ops story, going back to World at War, and then going on to the most recent edition, that it's been consistently one of the both of the mainline Call of Duty stories, both in the Modern Warfare universe and the Black Ops universe, are very interesting stories if you want to give it the time and actually care about investing into it. So I want to see more, not necessarily if it's going to be all Frank Woods, if it's not going to be Alex Mason, if we're not learning more about, everything else that was going on with that. I don't know how in depth you are into the story of those games.
Not at all.
Yeah. But there is some story elements in there that I am interested in following up on.
Cool, man. Cool. Final Fantasy XIV free trial has been expanded and the level cap has been raised. NME writes, Square Enix has announced that it will be expanding the free trial for its popular MMORPG, Final Fantasy XIV, starting in August. It was revealed during the latest Final Fantasy XIV letter from the producer live stream that starting from August 11th for PC and PS4, the game's free trial will be expanded to include the entire base game as well as its first DLC pack, Heavensward. Besides the new content, players will also get to play until level 60 instead of the current level cap of 35. By raising the cap, players will now be able to access higher level job quests, raids, as well as 3 more classes: the Dark Knight Tank, Astrologian, Healer, and the Machinist, ranged DPS. Machinist! Whatever. Free trial users will also be able to make Aura characters, a race that previously needed to be unlocked by purchasing the Heavensward expansion. All players who have the paid expansion of the base game will also get a free upgrade to include the Heavensward expansion coming. Oh, never mind. That's it. That's it. I accidentally put that there. And that's amazing. That's a lot of new content coming to you FF14 guys. I wish I was one of them, but I'm not.
Same here. I wish I had the time to devote to it.
Yep. Same here. Do not have the time for it. I heard it's amazing. I heard it's one of the best things ever in Final Fantasy, but I probably will never get around to it. Brie Larson wants to play Samus Aran. I would love that so much, Larson said. So I was Samus for Halloween 2 years ago. It was literally a $20 costume I bought off Amazon. It was like nothing. I was so excited about it, and I posted a picture on Instagram of me and the costume, and it turned into this thing, and people were like, whoa, she was always my character that I played in Super Smash Bros., and I just loved her. So that whole thing started. I've definitely not put a squash to that story, and I definitely want to make that movie. I definitely want to participate in that. So Nintendo, once again, I would love to do it. She's calling Nintendo out. She wants it. I would be down for it. But at the same time, I feel like they wouldn't do it because of Captain Marvel. I feel like the characters feel somewhat similar to me. And I think for that reason, they actually wouldn't choose Brie Larson.
It should be Charlize Theron. Like,
okay.
For me, 100. If I have somebody in my mind who is Samus Aran, it's Charlize Theron. I'm so, like, with all respect to Brie Larson,
but Tom, look at her.
Right now, I 100% get that. I get it. It, like, the Zero suit worked well on her. She looks nice.
She does. She looks nice.
But the way I look at it, I look at Samus personally as somebody who is like the closest to Sarah Connor that you can possibly get in being like that kind of badass woman in a movie. And the closest that I've seen that is Charlize Theron being Furiosa in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
So,
here's the thing about Metroid, though. It would be insanely ballsy to do it, and they probably never would. But if you're actually doing Metroid right, you go with a no-name actress because you never see her. Samus Aran is the Judge Dredd of video games. Like, she's not supposed to take off the mask. Like, you know it's a woman inside, but that's really it. So
it depends, right?
I'm talking about early Metroid, not what it's become now.
Right. Well, the thing is that even in early Metroid, you still got to see, because I was thinking about this too, because, typically speaking, you would think that, yes, Samus is a silent protagonist. Mm-hmm. She's actually not. If you play some of the games where, granted, she's talking in text crawl, and there was one other game where we actually had Samus having acting role, And unfortunately, that was also Other M, which was terrible in their depiction of who Samus is as a person. So look, yes, for the most part, yes, she should have the helmet on 90% of that movie, but
there are some flashbacks or something.
Parts of that where she's going to be flashbacks with her with the Choza, potential where she's in the Zero suit because you can't do that movie now without her being in the Zero suit.
Yeah,
you just can't.
Yeah. I mean, is this movie ever even going to happen? Who knows? But I think it would do pretty well in today's superhero focused age.
Wasn't there like talk that they were going to try to do like a Netflix Mario or something to that
Zelda
effect?
There was a Netflix Zelda that was talked about for a while.
Netflix Zelda, so look, Nintendo needs to get one of those things off the ground first before they even think about touching Metroid.
I agree. I'm with you. You will know when PS5 pre-orders are opening up, guys. Eric Lempel talked with Jeff Keighley on that DualSense, show-off thing they did this past week. And Eric Lempel at one point said, quote, "We'll let you know when pre-orders will happen. It's not going to happen with a minute's notice. At some point, we'll let you know when you can pre-order PlayStation 5. What's crazy is, I didn't even know about this. People were lining up around like the block at certain stores, calling GameStop nonstop because they thought, based on that one story online, that pre-orders were just going to suddenly appear out of nowhere. And that's not the way they work. It's never going to happen that way. Why would they ever do that? Why would they just be like, hey, pre-orders alive, good luck? No, they're going to want to get people prepared for it and shit. Like, no, it's just kind of crazy to me that anybody even thought that would happen. What did you think of the DualSense thing, Tom?
The controllers themselves?
Yeah, that Jeff Keighley event that he did, showing off the DualSense.
To me, I don't know. It's tough for me to get really hype up on controllers because for the most part, I just see a lot of that stuff is very gimmicky, and I'm still not sure on how much it's actually going to be used at the end of the day. Like, look, when the original DualShock 4 came out, right? There were a lot of games that actually used the touchscreen feature on that, but then it went away forever. And the first time that I feel like I've actually used this touchscreen on as I'm holding it in my hand is been The Last of Us, where Ellie plays guitar.
Yeah,
that's legitimately the first time in probably 2 or 3 years where I can think about using this other than as a select button.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So yeah, he's giving a lot of information on the DualSense, and it sounds all very interesting. I'm just not sure how it's actually going to be used at the end of the day.
I want it to be so awesome. I want this, haptic feedback to be a game changer. But yeah, I mean, history tells us that it probably won't be. After the first year, right? It'll be utilized for a little while.
Because everybody's going to have some feature with it, and then eventually, people are just going to be like, all right, well, why am I still doing this?
Right. Yeah. We shall see. Over 2,000 developers and 13 outsourced studios worked on The Last of Us Part 2. That's insane. They are reaching Ubisoft levels with Naughty Dog now. That's crazy. Naughty Dog itself is only a few hundred strong. So they brought in a lot of people to work on this game. It just shows how important The Last of Us is at this point.
Which unfortunately also kind of when you hear that news, but then you also hear the stories of how much crunch went into getting this game made. You start wondering, you had all these people working on this game, and yet you still needed to crunch.
Well, I think it goes both directions. I think when you have that many people working on a game, it probably becomes very difficult to manage that game.
Right.
That's a lot of people to keep track of. Even if you have all these different studio or department heads, you handle this group, you handle that group. Even still, it's wow, that is a lot of people to keep track of and manage and make sure we're delivering this on time and hitting this deadline. That's a lot. I don't even know how that can be done. If you're a director or creative director, I would have a heart attack. I would have I would die of stress if I had to try and keep that many people getting shit done on a game. Oh my God.
Right. Well, you're starting to get into a bunch of levels of management hell where you're going to have, a bunch of middle management who are going to be having to deal with stuff who I could see there being a lot of issues popping up from that, from people who are just not talking well together.
Yep. I'm actually going to go to the web browser for this last one because I want to talk about this massive Nintendo leak that happened. Resetera did a pretty good job of trying to compile this. So this has been updated a few times because it happened over the past couple of weeks, but this data leak has source code on a lot of old school Nintendo games. And it's allowed people to see some assets that were never meant to be seen before. Let's look at the full content leak here. I'm not going to go through all the detail, but you can see like a source code on Star Fox 2, Link's Awakening DX, Link's Awakening DX bug reports. Yeah, Yoshi's Island, Mario Kart, F-Zero, Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past is in there.
Pokemon
and many others.
Diamond and Silver.
Yeah, Pokemon as well. After 24 months and 24 years and 1 month, Luigi is now truly real. Luigi in Super Mario 64. Let's check out this little video here. What's this? Still haven't went to bed. Still doing Mario 64. Bunch of unused animations I'm going to take a peek at now, which is Mario doing a cute little dance. He does a little dance in there. One of the cool things, look at this old school Zelda stuff. Look at that Ocarina of Time. That is like wall market there, I believe. It's so cool to see shit like this, in my opinion.
Right.
They should just release
this is all stuff
after this time.
This is all stuff that, in some respect, though, you kind of look at it and you're like, well, Nintendo, if they were ever going to do something similar to like when they released the Super Nintendo Mini, like they had a companion book that came out with it, and you would think like a lot of these assets like that we're seeing now, this would all be stuff that they would have like put into a coffee table book.
Right.
Or something that would have come out with like an N64 Mini if that were ever to come out. Or like some other N64 retrospective on certain games like this. All of these unused assets that they have. This is all like the thing to remember with all of this is that this is all proprietary information.
Yep.
That was never meant to be put out unless they specifically wanted to.
Look at this. Look at these different Star Fox 64 logos. All these different Star Fox 64
logos. I love that
logos.
specifically.
That is
Star
cool.
Fox being as important for me as it is. Like seeing all those different like logos, everything, like the A thing, like really stuck out with me. That last one that they have on the right.
Some Star Trek looking stuff right there.
Yeah.
There's actually something pretty crazy. I think must be further down below. Here we go. Look at this Bowser. But especially look at this Yoshi. There was like an old man Yoshi or something.
Yes.
There was also like a thinner
Yoshi
Yoshi too that I saw at one point. I don't know if it's in this one, but there was like a thin, lanky Yoshi that was kind of creepy looking. Thank God they didn't go with that one. But there's so much information here. If you guys like enjoy this kind of thing, looking into what didn't come to be and old assets of your classic favorite titles, there is a lot to look at here. People are still diving through it all, but it's a huge, massive leak of information.
That is on the more innocent end of the leaks.
That's true.
Because the innocent end is all of this game information and all the source codes and everything else like that. The not so innocent end is that part of that leak also came out a lot of internal emails and other things that were passed by between employees. Yeah. So if anybody deep dives into that, specifically if you are triggered by some things, there is some rather unsavory comments and other things that are within those internal emails that were never meant to be shared with anybody. And keep in mind that a lot of those emails were sent circa 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So a very different environment as well. So read any of emails that are part of those leaks at your own risk. But still try to enjoy, because there's a big part of me that still enjoys the fact that we're getting this we were talking about before, the behind the curtain look at game development that you usually don't get a chance to see. But it's also, I think, in some respects, it's also unfortunate that this stuff is happening and seems to be happening at an accelerated pace.
As we said earlier, the amount of stuff leaking nowadays is insane. It's just, there's no protecting it anymore, it seems like. So you're going to see this kind of thing happen more and more and more, and it's going to make it really difficult to keep expectations in check, to retain those great hype moments and reveals. It's just we might be seeing those days go away, unfortunately, because they were exciting. And that's just one side of it. That the other side is stuff like Tom talked about, which is even more dangerous and devastating. That's not even getting into that side of it. So
yeah, unfortunately, and I wouldn't have brought it up otherwise, but I think depending on our audience and who might be looking at those, go in, be wary, tread lightly.
Yeah, in the words of Walter White. All right,
right.
you guys, that is the show. We are not ending. After this, I'm coming back with Marbles on stream, so do not go anywhere. We have several races already queued up. We had another one redeemed by Henry, I saw. Thank you for redeeming that with your AP or XP. And we're going to do the full hour because it is 11:37, and we're going at least until 1 a.m. So we have over an hour of Marbles still to come. Thank you so much to Derek and Duroc and King Kurt for the massive tips. I'm going to give a wheel spin real quick to Trooper because he won the sub gift giveaway. Way to go. Let me switch over to the $5 wheel. We are halfway there on our daily sub goal. We are almost halfway there on our daily follow goal. Maybe we can do the whole thing tonight. I didn't know if that was you. I was like, what was that sound? This one is for Trooper, 75 XP to the entire room. Way to go, room. I'm going to give another shout out here. Wait for it. Derek's got it going. Wait for the audio hook. Oh, I have audio hooks turned off, don't I? I do. Sorry, guys. I had audio hooks turned off all night long. I didn't even realize that. Why did I do that? I don't even know why I did that. They're turned back on now. Audio hooks are turned back on. Guys, go to twitch.tv/Jersey_Tom. He joined us the entire night and helped me out in having this conversation about Xbox games showcase and everything else tonight. So go to his channel, hit that follow button, check out at least one stream of his. He is trying to get affiliate. He needs 3 concurrent viewers for the month average, and he can get affiliate status. So let's make that happen for him. He helped me out in a big way tonight. Thank you so much again, Tom.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Drew, and it's my pleasure to talk with all of you here at the Level Up Show, and also talking to you on the Discord.
That
and
voice,
you can find the Discord at the following. It would help if I was actually typing in the thing. There we go. Yeah, there's the Level Up Show Discord. You can come and join me, Drew, and the rest of the Level Up community talking about games, food. I'm very much an active member in the foodie channel. So definitely check that out. Music, anything else in pop culture. It's a great community to be a part of. Please come and join us.
Did you see, Tom, that earlier in the night somebody said that you had voice modulation on?
Somebody thought I had voice modulation.
Yeah, they're like,
on?
what the hell is this guy doing with the voice modulation? So, no, this is the real
this
deal,
is my
guys.
Actual voice.
That is
and you can
Vincent
find that
right
out
there.
more on Jersey_Tom.
There you go. Plug it, man. Do it.
That's
Dude,
right.
I need to just get you to record all of my timer commands so I could just have hotkeys for I'm going to advertise Discord. Well, actually, Tom's going to advertise Discord for me. I just get all of them
right.
from you. All right, guys. That is the show.
I'll read it, man. I got no problem doing that for you.
Hit that follow button here at twitch.tv/The Level Up Show. Join me on Wednesday for Ghost of Tsushima. Join us on YouTube at youtube.com/The Level Up Network for all the archives. I got all the Last of Us archives on there. I've got all of the 7 Remake stuff going on there, and I will put Ghost of Tsushima up there as well. Tom advertised Discord. Become a part of that. Be a part of the community even when I am not live. You guys are all awesome. Stick around for the post show, aka Marbles, and we will see you next time. Until then, take care, and as always, don't forget to level up.
Level up.